sunshine. Racing's in my blood, no worries of tomorrow. But tonight we're gonna light 'em up. I said light 'em up, light 'em up, light 'em up. Oh, I said light 'em up. Checkers in the mean machine, and tonight we're gonna light 'em up. I said light 'em up, light 'em up. Oh, I said light 'em up. Time to run, sunshine. Winocle grip in the neon light, trading pain in the heart of the fight. Shifting gears till the edge feels right. Start 'em up, hear the engines cry. Let the thunder roll, leave no doubt. All or nothing when the checkers come out. Doors beating doors in an all-out fight. This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Wednesday night! Legends born in the heat of the fight. Trading pain under stadium lights. Racing roots run deep here. We're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Every track has a story to tell. Every wall has been one driver's hell. Back in the saddle we go. Ring the bell like a moonshiner. We're riding on rails. Checkers on records. Send it in, set sail. Legends born in the heat of the fight. Trading pain under stadium lights. Racing roots run deep here. We're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. This is 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 a Moonshiners Wednesday night.
Tonight, the quest to try and battle at a super speedway and succeed heads to Hampton, Georgia. The Moonshiners Racing League is all set for Moonshiners Wednesday night with the GMD Janitorial Cup Series. As this evening, we're all set for the Barry M. Deeper Mortuary 250 here on Precision Entertainment. Welcome to Hotlanta for tonight's coverage from EchoPark Speedway. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth tonight is Dawson Wise. Our producer is Ryan Bauer. Our pit reporter is Adam Thompson. Ryan will be using cameras provided by Whiplash SimCam. In the midst of your preparations for tonight, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this evening. It's super speedway racing at its finest, and better yet, it's a part of the Icon Apparel Co. in-season challenge, and you have super speedway aces like Cody Nagels coming out to play Dawson here tonight.
They're really one of the biggest wild cards in this in-season challenge in terms of the unique racing that we'll see tonight. It'll be a lot like what you saw back at Talladega in the month of April, but this place race is just a little bit different. It's more narrow. There's a little bit less grip. Tire saving will be essential to winning tonight's race. It has been the case every time we've come to Hampton, Georgia over the last several months. And you said it, one of the super speedway ringers, as we like to say, is back in the field tonight. The Talladega winner, Cody Nagels, makes his Moonshiners return. Where else but a super speedway here in Atlanta? That Redline group is very confident coming into this week. Certainly getting one of the super speedway winners back this week would definitely help with that.
And Adam, of course, tonight also going to be a challenge for some of the drivers to make sure they don't have any mistakes. This is the type of racetrack, after all, that can provide a ton of attrition. And better yet, it's been challenging since some recent updates to this track to actually make some of the moves we've seen in the past here.
Well, it all comes down to just surviving the opening laps. Of course, the way that the stages are broken up, that will help out a lot. But one of the big things about Atlanta is that the bumps are all in the wrong positions. If you hit a bump at the wrong time and then bump into somebody, well, you're going to go around and you're going to collect some damage on your race car. So tonight is going to just be one of those nights about keeping calm, cool, and just keeping your car pointed straight ahead.
It's going to be interesting to say the very least. Let's take a look at your schedule coming into tonight. As remember, we're already past the halfway point essentially in overall races, give or take. EchoPark, North Wilkesboro, Indianapolis are left when it comes to that challenge, with Indy deciding the in-season challenge winner. But remember, this is going to be one of several super speedway races down the stretch. There are 3, including tonight remaining. You better get the job done on these types of tracks to get points. Speaking of which, Brandon Bowie's got the heavy advantage over the cut line of more than 500 coming into tonight. Alex Coffey in second. Brad Fitter plays in the top 3. Alex Murray and Matt Cox amongst the top 5. Your cut line conversation, though, plus 34 for Vincent, plus 19 for Mark Sanchez. Johnny Shade, he likes to thrive at tracks like this, Dawson.
I was just going to mention it, one of the Daytona winners from last year in 2025. This would be a race where you could really turn your season around and get into the Impact Sim Designs Chase conversation. Shade sitting on the cut line. Expect the big eSports cars to all be fast, but Shade tonight, this could be a real breakout night for him. William Owens was fast here in February as well.
Remember, your Icon Apparel Co. in-season challenge looks like this. It's Bowie versus Holden, Cox versus Wilson, Sanchez versus Gallimore, and Harper versus Coffey for your brackets. And from your conversations here, it's going to get interesting here, Adam. Which drivers stand out tonight? These matchups could go any direction.
Well, if you're Holden right now going against the #1 seeded driver who has won the last back-to-back races, so he's going to be a challenge, but keep an eye on Coffey tonight. Last week had some struggles.
Let's talk about the track a little bit more in detail. Remember, this track a few years ago was repaved and reconfigured to a super speedway. 28 degrees of banking here, Dawson. That, as touched upon by Adam, still has a bumpy surface. It's getting more and more and more worn in real life, towards getting similar to that of the hot Landa surface from the past, and it's still providing challenges as a result to actually get things done right without any problems.
Yeah, we won't see racing like that tonight like we saw on Sunday, but tonight certainly it still will be a little bit bumpy, some character, and turn 3 and 4 especially has been Calamity Corner throughout this week.
Drivers finished up qualifying a few seconds ago, which means it's time for a pole award. Once again, brought to you by Victory Designs. Your Victory Designs pole award will go the way of the 00. Matt Cox gets it done with a 31.219. Chris Cornett, 12 1,000s back in second. Chris Davis is in third. Alex Murray start in the 4th position here tonight in the 22 car. 5th goes to Jose Medina this evening with Timothy Harper up in the 6th spot, one of those in the bracket challenge. Red car will start in 7th tonight. Kyle Holden be amongst those in your top 8. Johnny Shade, keep an eye on him tonight for the 9th spot. He'll look to try and grid up with Paul Gallimore and Ted Dawson.
Back on row 6, that's where you'll find the Talladega winner for Redline, Cody Nagels. He's in his element tonight. He'll start from 11th alongside the big eSports driver, Corey Moore, in the 19. Also finished on the podium in that Talladega race the last time we went plate racing. Row 7, it's Jim Treat in the 42 for 0X Sim Racing. He'll go from 13th tonight with his better starting spots of the year alongside William Owens in the 30. Row 8's where you'll find Blaine Wilson, still carrying the blue and white precision colors on his 18 tonight from 15th position. Alongside a driver we'll need to focus on in that chase conversation, Mark Sanchez. He'll roll from 16th. Unusually far back for Alex Coffey. Set a qualifying time, but it's only good for 17th on the charts. And alongside him it'll be Sean Rogers, the all-red Beast Mode Chevrolet. And back on row number 10 and rounding out the top 20, it's Brandon Fetterplace. A few wins this year, looking to add one tonight in Atlanta. And alongside him, the red, white, and blue Stars and Stripes Chevrolet and Matt Mack.
21st tonight will go the way of Nick Caton with Blake Hochschild down in 22nd. Matt Metler, 7th car, starts down 23rd tonight with Nigel Christensen in the top 24. Brian Catalano, one of the final 2 drivers to take time. The last was Kenny Rio. A surprisingly lower down the order start for the 99. Drivers who didn't take times, Brandon Billy in 27, Trevor Ashworth, Chris Vincent, Aaron Matthews, Barry Sanders, Wayne Bowen, and Kaden Norfray all here tonight. Right now this track getting all set to go for a pretty cool night. Under 80 degrees to start tonight for your temperatures this evening. And that is going to bring us to the big conversation point here. You're talking about a standard 45, 45, 110 that you only see for the 1.5 miles. The caveat is we'll add a super speedway version of it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where strategy can be what can win or lose you the race. Again, super speedways tend to be the great equalizer, and tonight at Atlanta we'll see that once again, where tires are going to matter, but when you pit for fuel, especially in that 3rd stage, it's going to determine where you are on track when it comes down to business time.
Take a look at your Ben Louis stickers, onboard cameras tonight, and the various sims all set to go. Chris Vincent already preparing for a drive-through as indicated to Barry Sanders to begin this evening. But as we get set to go, 1 lap until we take the green flag this time by. First things first, a reminder that this stage is brought to you by Collegiate Football Simulation League, the top collegiate simulation league. Create your legacy by visiting collegesimleague.com today. Also remember, Topping Off Hot Sauce Company is a big supporter of this series, your replay sponsor in this series that brings rev, depth, flavor, and heat. Use the code MRL15 to save 15% off your entire order. MRL15 is the code. Catalano, as we set down the order here tonight for this one. And that leads to the big question here. What are some of the storylines maybe down pit road? Adam, let's send it back to you. What's your thoughts here from what you heard from some of the drivers coming in? Adam.
One of the nice things about Atlanta is coming into the pits, you're going to come in off of turn number 3. So you're going to have a little bit of time to prepare yourself for that pit stop, as well as the way that the pit road works is that you're going to be able to enter in on turn number 3 at a faster pace. But the minute you get onto pit road, you got to drop your speed down to pit speed limit, or you're going to get black flagged on a huge circuit, not even a huge circuit, a 1.5 mile racetrack like Atlanta. It's easy to go 2 laps down and not get it back.
Field will get itself all set to go for tonight. We're happy to have you with us for this evening's coverage of the Moonshiners Racing League. Coming up to the Van Louis sticker start zone to begin things off today. Matt Cox ready to fire off. Green flag is out, underway from Hampton, Georgia. start for Chris Cornett. He got pushed ahead of Cox to begin things off. That means penalties coming up already. The 84's got a problem. Outside front of the field, needs to find a hole immediately or else he's going to get disqualified.
He's got a nice push from behind from Alex Murray here on the outside of the racetrack, but he's got to clear down and clear down quickly. He's got 3 laps to serve that black flag before he will not be scored in the session anymore. He'll be disqualified tonight, so he's got to get down and got to get down quick. He'll likely get it here to the entry of turn 3. He'll drop down. You see his eyes going right to the rearview mirror. He'll drop down the racetrack here in turn 3. I'd imagine next time is when we'll see Cornett take that penalty. By the way, Vincent had a black flag to start, so too did Trevor Osmanoff. Both those cars have served penalties here on lap 1.
Just heard that he got the penalty cleared, actually, which is interesting because obviously there was contact that pushed him up over the speed heading into the start zone. But now the driver who pushed him, Alex Murray, is getting pushed himself up to the front. Here's Nagels right now in the top 9. And already with the fastest lap early on. But it's like saying with the fastest lap, I got to catch the draft off everybody. Cody Ware got a fastest lap in real life this past weekend. Not to take it away from the 16. What I'm saying is, the further back you go, you'll see drivers like Aaron Matthews pick up fastest laps. Matthews, he's right now at 21st.
Yeah, it's just a product of guys wanting to come forward, jumping to the outside and being aggressive early. Nagels is one of those cars. Matthews, Nick King, Kenny Reel, all in that camp of getting to the outside and coming forward. Although the outside starting to stop just a little bit with Alex Murray going backwards here. Headed to turn 1, Cody Nagels thinking about a 3-wide move to the center. The 16 aggressive early, but he'll pay for it. He split to the outside. Nigel Christensen on the rim. Up again in that higher lane. We saw drivers run there this past Sunday. It works more tonight than you will see on Sunday night with the amount of momentum racing that they had to do. Nick King going to come to his aid. 3 wide, about 8 rows deep in the field. Simplification up front. And Chris Cornett's loving this. The penalty's cleared, and he's leading laps. He leads another there on lap 5.
Much of the field single file here. And this is going to be difficult for some of the drivers to find a way to go. The first one side by side is still Murray with the help of Corey Moore this time. Now a special paint scheme in the case of the 22 car tonight. Found out a couple weeks ago that one of his cousins is dealing with a form of bone cancer in his femur. So in this month, it is Sarcoma Awareness Month. And given this fact, his cousin's faced his own battle, decided to support him with this battle paint scheme by Nigel Christensen, who was able to get the job done to get the paint scheme ready for tonight.
Yeah, really great cause there for Alex Murray, and a special night for him, a special month for him, and what a cool win this would be. Also, he could get back to victory lane again tonight, once again in 2026. Behind him just a moment ago, Nagels had a moment with William Owens. That was nearly the first caution flag of the night as a few cars came together. Nagels finally got that hole in the middle to open up. He tried it up a few laps ago. He now leads the outside lane. By the way, a couple of cars have dropped down in front of him, including Murray, who we were just talking about. He was trying a couple of laps ago to squeeze through the middle, trying to get those cars to work forward, trying to get that line to go. He finally gets it to go his way. He leads the outside. He brings a train of them with him. Reel, King, Bowen, Christensen all behind him. But it's the Talladega winner on the way to the front. Here comes Cody Nagels.
Trying to find some momentum, and guess what? He's linked up with the fellow super speedway driver, Kenny Reel, who's been successful this season up there also. Here's a look, meanwhile, at Barry Sanders. The Bossman didn't put up a qualifying time, and he, along with Brandon Bowie, remain at the tail. They are not showing any urgency to go.
Well, remember what Brandon Bowie said to us last week. He is not a big fan of late racing or this racetrack here in Atlanta. So no surprise to me. He wants to stay back here, be patient, let some things happen first and let the race come to him. And so many times this year, that's worked out for him. Started in the back, ran in the back, drove through the field, got the checkered flag at the end. He's won a number of his several wins this year exactly that way. So for Bowie, no surprise. Barry Sanders choosing to play it cautious as well. Tell you what, Nagels, Reel, King, and company are not. They're on scene now. Alongside Rogers, alongside almost to Kyle Holden, and that would break them into the top 5. Again, a couple more cars at back of them as well. Aaron Matthews and William Owens back to the fight. Ryan Catalano has gone up there a couple times. He'll join the line too. 2 by 2, 8 rows deep, as the front of the field starts to racing once again.
And some of these drivers on the outside finally getting the momentum to start swinging their direction. It takes a lot of effort to get the outside to work, though, it feels like, at least in terms of the game plan. There was, in some cases, not tonight, some series actually got to the point where they said we're increasing the horsepower just to make it a little bit more real world-like. That's how big the impact is with the draft comparatively to what we see in real life these days. And we're seeing that difficulty come into play here, where it's taken 7 to 8 laps just to move up 4 spots comparative to the bottom of the racetrack for that top group.
Well, it reminds me a lot of last June, the racing that we saw. Again, it took a long time to build runs, a long time to pay off those runs and get to the front. Although, credit to the Nagels, Real, King, Bo, and Lyon. They have not shied away from it. They have stayed up there and continue to chip away and just get little by little gains. They're back alongside, they were back alongside Rogers there for just a moment. And I'll tell you, talking about the increasing horsepower, a series that I got to watch last night did just that. Drastically different racing. It was entirely based on handling, a lot more spread out, a lot more individuality to it than what we're seeing tonight, which feels a little bit more like what we'd see at Daytona or Talladega with a little more separation. Although separation not for long for the leaders, Nagels, Real, they're starting to find a little more success as the tires start to give out.
That was the next point go towards, because the handling's still a major thing here after about 20, 30 laps on the Goodyear Eagles here. Because around that point, some people tend to start snapping around, it feels like, even with the normal horsepower.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the higher horsepower, last night, again, we saw it much earlier in the run, and the bumps proved to be extremely dangerous to those drivers. Not quite as much so tonight. You're on board with Ryan Catalano. He works that outside lane. They're up to 4th now alongside the aero entry of Kyle Holden. No surprise, by the way, the BMP and aero cars are fast here once again. They were fast here a couple of times last year also.
Yeah, they were controlling things essentially over the front. You also have 0x Sim Machine still of Cornette leading the laps here. Here you look, though, at the red line machine of Nagels. Still staying laser focused on the mindset. Trying to find a way to next pull back Kyle Holden. Not really side drafting too aggressively here, though.
It's still very early in the race. Obviously, they're trying to work at it without getting too aggressive on the side draft. Again, Nagels and Real, they'll get a lot tighter to the door later in the race. Let me tell you, these guys know exactly where to put their cars to get the most side force out of them. Right now, a little bit calmer. Again, it's only lap 17. They've got some time there. They're at the front now. They want to go up there and lead laps, but they're at the front now, inside the top 7. They're in a pretty good spot where they want to be late in the stage to get some stage points and, more importantly, position themselves for the end of the race. They're alongside Rogers for the 5th spot right now. They're waiting for the tires to go out a little bit more, because what you'll see is the bottom lane will not only start to get loose, those cars will push on entry. The front ends will push. There'll be more of a lift. And you see right there for Cornette, he works up the racetrack, and he may get dumped off here to Nagels by Matt Cox, who wants a shot back at the lead.
Cornette moved up the high side. Here comes Nagels 3 wide. Not sure how that's going to work out, because the 3rd line's not the greatest, and there they go. They wreck. Reels and one still squeezing the wall. Holden involved. They're stacking up like Legos. They're still wrecking. It's just about everybody off of 4.
And William Owens is in it. Nick King is in it. Kenny Reels in it. Multiple cars out back of the field. Alex Murray is involved in car 22. You talked about Holden. A number of others have come to a stop and been involved in this one early. Calamity, the big one, as we head to the top and off Hot Sauce Company replay.
Nick King demolished those blown motors. Catalano's demolished. Let's see what happened. Cornette losing the bottom. That really sparked it right here. Look at them get loose. Cornette with King getting towards the arrow.
Man, some big hits there. Aaron Matthews off the right front. Matt Cox and Sean Rogers are both in this as well. At least with minor damage for both of those cars. Big damage for Kenny Real. Big damage, of course, from King and Owens machines. You mentioned them. Big hits for those 2 cars as well. You're on board Ryan Catalano, and watch the road get blocked right in front of him here. Not much place to go, and he finds about the one place. He gets a couple of hits there. And can't quite escape the chaos. Atlanta not forgiving enough for the 92.
At least 4 different cars bounced off of in that situation. See Corey Moore. What did he see? He was the one that was on the bottom. Usually the bottom is good for safety. In this case, was it? Well, even Murray, who is the next car up, lost it. He just about dodged it. Pure chaos. Our first caution flag. We'll see most of the field pit as well, by the way. But a lot of this field is going to have a long night here. Here's Barry Sanders. He's amongst those who stayed out. Now the last to stay out.
I'll tell you what, the decision for Bowie and Sanders looks awfully good now to start towards the tail end and run back here. They're way behind where this Calamity starts, and you're going to see them both jump in the brakes early, and even Bowie drops way off the brakes. In fact, Brandon Bowie gets involved in this too. He gets either turned from behind or spins up the racetrack. Sanchez, Blaine Wilson, Johnny Shade. I mean, these are cars that were running in the late 20s that somehow get involved in this too. Under braking, they all started to lose control.
Absolute calamity breaks out in this one. Let's send it meanwhile to Adam. He's on the radio with Corey Moore.
Corey, Adam here. What happened there? What did you see happen?
I have no clue. I just saw smoke and people started spinning, and I hit the brakes and I saw more smoke, and somehow I missed everything.
Absolutely incredible to keep a car clean like that in a big wreck like that.
Yeah, I did get a little contact from behind. Luckily, I don't think. Well, I hit the I got a damage report button, and it said I had no damage. So, thankful.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here. Back to you, JP.
Corey Moore from the dig camp, taking a moment there as he goes back to his team. Corey dealing with the situation, so we'll do radio stop for this upcoming restart. Here's the reset for your drivers who stayed out. Chris Davis, Corey Nagels are on your front row. Cody Nagels ahead of Matt Cox and Wayne Bowen, who start inside outside. Then Paul Gilmore, row 3 alongside Jose Medina. Nigel Christensen's 20 car start alongside Corey Moore in the 19. Brandon Fenner-Place and Blake Hochschild start in the top 10, 9th and 10th. The 88 and Barry Sanders was the last driver to stay out for this caution. Alex Coffey will restart 12th after a top off on fuel. Sean Rogers in 13th. Greg Carr is in 14th in the 25 car. Matt Metler in 15th. McKenna Northright down in 16th. Matt Mackin 17th with Johnny Shade in the top 18. Mark Sanchez, Timothy Harper start inside your top 20. 21st will go the way of Brandon Bowie. Alex Murray in 22nd. Chris Vincent starts 23rd with Blaine Wilson in 24th. Owens, Catalano, Treat, Ashroff, Matthews, and Cornett will be your drivers left running. We have a delayed restart situation because not everyone's caught up to the field, so it gives us a full lap to reset. Catalano will get a EOL penalty situation. So as we get set for the restart here, Dawson, our first major incident of the race, collecting a vast majority of it, at least 11 cars with double-digit minor repairs.
That's what these super speedways tend to be known for, is the carnage and calamity. Shortly back in Talladega in April, we saw a lot of this as well that led to the attrition situation at the end of that race also. Seems tonight we are going to go the same direction, and I think you'll see a lot of drivers, alter their strategies just a little bit. We saw how aggressive that the Nagels, Bowen, Real, King contingent was starting to get in terms of how hard they were driving into the corner, how hard they were side drafting. I would imagine that will change just a little bit now that we've had that first incident. Guys are going to be lifting a little bit more, be a little more conservative. Again, we are still barely halfway through stage 1. In fact, about to take the halfway mark of the first stage of the night. We still have 180 laps to go in this race. Drivers will adjust strategies accordingly. You'll still have drivers that want to go lead laps. Of course, Chris Davis, the defending winner here. Cody Nagels won a super speedway earlier in the year. Matt Cox, etc. Drivers about halfway back in the field, especially the ones with damage. They just want to get through this one.
They look to be all set to go here as pictures come back. And so, as we look along and watch along with the cameras, we'll keep the radio stop for the start of the restart. Be down the front straightaway area. It'll be, once again, my colleague in Dawson down the backstretch area. Chris Davis ready to fire in the Van Louis Stickers restart zone. Green flag is out, we're backing away. And a good start for the inside line. The 87 gets clear. Near door-to-door contact for second. Nagels trying to pull back Cox. They rumble their way to the bank into turn one. Nagels dives in front of Gallimore, gets a shot to the left rear of the bumper. First on the outside for the back straightaway, Wayne Bowen.
4 cars making 5 cars cleared on the back straightaway, back to Nigel Christensen. Now 6 back to Federer Place, outside going backwards. Bowen back to 7th, back to 8th. Bottom line stacks up, and as they work off turn 4, the top 8 cars in the bottom 4 line are clear back to Wayne Bowen.
Wayne Bowen trying to find a way anyway to find a hole down the racetrack as he gets shuffled as far back as the end of the top 10. Barry Sanders passing him. Coffey trying to find a way to go next. Coffey trying to dig on the inside as the outside continues to dissipate.
Yeah, 8, 9 cars getting clear. Only 2 cars up there now, Bowen and Medina. I think this shows how good the Matt Cox and Cody Nagels cars are. They have vaulted that line along. Again, back to Alex Coffey. Now clear a simplification off turn 4. Davis continues to lead.
Down the front straightaway, they all rumble right now with Bowen continue to drop at single file for just about everybody along the red line. It's the Pied Piper effect. Everybody sticking to the low side.
Still just 1 car up, that's Wayne Bowen. Again, everyone goes down to the red line. I'm not surprised considering the calamity we've seen in this race. He wants to ride for some laps, still 21 to go, stage 1. Davis, Cox, Nagels, Gallimore, Christensen, the top 5.
Goes the question, when does anybody make the move to try and set something up? We still have 20 laps to work with in the stage. The first on tires is Alex Coffey in the 54, who works his way inside the 9th position. Nobody willing to take any risk now.
And even Wayne Bowen's going to go a little further back. He's actually going to come to pit road. It looks like in the 78, he'll die below the white line. So it continues to be the Davis machine that runs up front, and everyone back to a couple of cars out back. 3 of them up on the outside. Harper's one of them.
Bit of an issue down the front straightaway. 1 car goes underneath the red line. Now to stabilize, that's going to be the 7. Matt Metler, freight train by everybody. Still trying to stabilize the car. Metler holds on to it coming off of turn 2. So that's caught side by side in the back.
Yeah, it's Brandon Bowie, Johnny Shade that were up there. Shade continues to run up that way. Trevor Osmond and Timothy Harper are the other 2 cars in the outside lane trying to work forward, but it continues to be mostly everyone down on the inside.
Down the front straightaway, things continue to get feisty on the side-by-sides. That includes battle between the 24 Jose Medina, the 45 of Johnny Shade. Side-by-side for the 13th spot. Still squeezing is Johnny Shade. Leaders down to the back. Still Shade on the first up high.
What that's allowing his top 12 to do is pull away just a little bit now. Medina will get clear of the Johnny Shade machine and pull right back up and can create 1 contingent line again. All behind the train leader, Chris Davis. He is the engine ahead of this train. Back to the line. 16 to go, rather 17 in stage 1.
Time ticking away with the leaders still willing to just ride as everyone talks over the radio. Van Louis Stickers cameras. So it looks like things have just about stabilized here. Right now, everybody just staying cool. A lot of conversations on the radio, but for the most part, the field itself biding its time continuously here.
And what a stark difference from the opening about 15 laps of this race where we saw about half the field that wanted to come forward. Of course, Nagels kind of led that line, led that charge, but a number of drivers wanted to move up in the field, not back in the field. And now you're kind of seeing the opposite of that. Drivers content to run where they're at. In fact, a couple of drivers are continuing to go backwards. We saw Wayne Bowen come to pit road a moment ago. Brandon Bowie led the outside lane for all of about 2.5 laps and went right to the safety barrier and dropped back. He got too close to the front and realized I'm way too close to where action could pop up later. We know now what the strategy is for Brandon Bowie with a 200-point lead to the next driver in points. Stage points not on the top of Brandon Bowie's mind. He has dropped all the way to the tail end of this lead pack once again.
Again, wanting to stay out of trouble is the key thing. Jim Tree saying the same thing. Seeing Johnny Shade. Well, here is Tree. Look at this. He's in a wall. 42 is saying go around, go around. He's all over the track.
And grip continuing to be an issue here in the mid to late stages of stage 1 as these tires start to go away. We saw it with Cornette and Holden and a couple of others just a moment ago. Now it's with Jim Treat. He was towards the tail end of the field in the 42, had some damage after the first incident. And right here in turns 3 and 4, I think you're going to see him have the same effect as Chris Cornett had. In fact, it's almost identical, a slide right on the entrance of turn 3.
And that caused some of the drivers of Kenny Northray to lose draft completely here. See this on board. Here's Wilson. Very lucky. That's your top of the hot sauce company replay. You're in this one. Kenny Real has confirmed he is now, unfortunately, not on the track and is now visiting a race sponsor. That is a joke before anyone takes it seriously for the Barry M. Deeper Mortuary 250. What I'm trying to say is he's out.
Yeah, tough break for Kenny Real. Just when we had started to talk about the chase conversation earlier, too, he had built about a 35-point buffer on the chase cut line. And a second-to-last finish tonight at Atlanta is not going to be what he wanted to see, headed to some tough tracks coming up. Wilkesboro, Indianapolis, Loudon still ahead. Tough places to race and gain points for Kenny Real. Tonight was going to be the night he really buffered that gap between him and the cut line, and unfortunately it did not go his way. The calamity struck for him early.
Hearing from pit road reporters, Holden and Cornett still. Munso's down pit road, Cornett. Munso's down in pit lane for 7 minutes, 12 for Kyle Holden. Still coming up to now 10 to go in the stage. 10 laps to go, 22 cars. Still uber connected in this main group. See some of the drivers have lost laps back of that, like William Owens with damage, Wilson, Murray, Bowie, Sanchez, Metler, that are all just waiting for the caution flag. Things are looking good if you're a Chris Davis fan, though. That 87 still keeping stable with the older tires as the sun starts to set.
Zero surprise here that Chris Davis runs up front again. The winner from February, no surprise, he continues to lead the way and look to defend that victory and go back-to-back here in Atlanta. He's got Matt Cox behind him. Cox and Gallimore, the two of the only sets of teammates up here. A couple of aero cars, though, Davis and Federer.
Let's throw it down to Adam on the radio. He's got up with Chris Cornett, still on the damage repair.
Chris, unfortunate incident still has you on pit road here. Anything that you saw out of the windshield today?
Just going into one right before that happened, and for some reason my feedback in my wheel just stopped, and it felt like I didn't want turning, and then it kicked back on. And then I feel like if they didn't take me 3 wide, we would have been fine. But with it being 3 wide and Nick King catching up to me, it just took the air off, and once I went in the corner, there was no saving it. So, like I said, unfortunate. I hate it. I hate it for all the guys involved in it, but I think it's just ridiculous that we're going 3 wide this early. But I had 14 minutes of damage. I got 2 minutes left, so I'm just going to try to get out there and see what I can make up for points. So.
Well, you led some laps here at Atlanta that had to feel at least like a consolation prize.
Yeah, I mean, really it was. To be honest, I wasn't even expecting to qualify second. So, but I told my team, I was like, me qualifying second is not going to end well for me because it never does. So, but I led some laps. I thought it was going to go good. And like I said, unfortunate mishap, with feedback going down and all that, and then 3 wide, and just the car just snapped. There was no saving it as much as I wanted to, and then Nick King just nowhere to go, just finished me off. So, like I said, just gotta get back out there and see what we can gain on points. So.
Well, thank you, Chris, for joining us here. JP, I extrapolated this information. Back to you.
Thank you very much for extrapolating as much as you need to do when it comes to that conversation point here. With that in mind, we're in the final 5 laps of the stage.
Trouble, JP. It's Chris Vincent. He's around in the back of this lead pack. It has not yet drawn the caution. Now it will, and he's nosed into the front, into the outside wall. And man, the second pack almost got him as well as one car spins alongside him. I think that might have been Brandon Bowie.
Mark Sanchez, Matt Metler amongst those involved, in fact. Let's take a look at the top of the Ponso's Company replay. That is the stage. Race controls confirmed. So the 33 Well, there was already a big set in the first place in 1 and 2. It got worse by 4.
Yeah, this was towards the tail end of this lead pack. He was one of the last cars in this line and had just jumped to the outside. A number of cars had jumped up there, primarily Dig eSports Camrys and a couple of BNP cars as well. And Vincent turned on the entry to 3, noses into the wall, and then watched the second pack come on from behind at the tail end of that. That almost was a lot worse than it ended up being.
Yeah, Mackin, he left the gap. I think Vincent's thinking I might be able to fill it. Right there's already a checkered at the same time. That doesn't help. Then the second pack says, hold on, we got a break. Murray nearly clapped into him, and Metler was actually the one who got loose the back of it.
Couldn't quite tell which car it was that was in that second pack. I thought for a second it was Boo. It was Metler. Somewhat similar colors on these cars. You'll see Metler come along here. This second pack comes up on Vincent's car quickly. You see Sanchez is first in the brakes, and Metler is a victim of what we saw in the first caution, where guys jumped in the brakes, and these cars get all kinds of out of shape. The setups underneath them do not want to let them stop on the banking, and Metler spins up and collects Sanchez as well.
Pit stops underway as a result of this caution flag early. Chris Davis again, winner of stage number 1, as Sanchez clipped to the last moment. Still able to lock it down and hold on to his machine. No significant troubles. Vincent is done for the night. Adam, to you.
Well, looks like Chris Davis able to get off pit road first, and the whole entire BMP team saying cars feel good. But as you just said, JP, Chris Vincent is out of this race.
So as things get all situated here, getting towards that middle portion of the race coming soon. Stage number 1 complete, Dawson. Stage 2 gets intense in a moment.
Yeah, and stage 1 about as chaotic as possible, kind of like last summer's NASCAR Cup Series race, where it felt like half the field crashed early in that one. Tonight, very similar, and we've seen the tone of the race really calm down a little more than I thought. We'll see what stage 2's got in store.
Indeed, we'll take a break right here. Come back to the restart in just a moment. You're watching Precision Entertainment. Welcome back to Hotlanta, where we get ready for stage number 2. Again, brought to you by RS Button Boxes for the Barry M. Deeper Mortuary 250. Race lead, Chris Davis, Matt Cox in second. Cody Nagels, however, came down for a second pit stop service this caution. Spent 24 seconds down to the lane. See what happens here as we come to the Van Louis Stickers restart zone. All the drivers look to focus because it's time to hit the gas. Gas is being hit right now. We're back underway for stage 2.
How about the restart for Davis and Gallimore on the top side of the racetrack? They're going to jump right down in front of Matt Cox here at the banking of turn number 1. In fact, it's going to get all 5 cars clear on that inside line. Now back to Federer Place, Alex Coffey. So they're wondering what in the world just happened behind him. Another car clear. Corey Moore in the 19. One of the first times we've seen him up here after being involved in an opening caution. Top lane is a few cars deep. It's Coffey, then Barry Sanders, who emerges at the front along with Murray and Shade, a trio of Dig eSports cars, and the Boss Man on the way to the front.
Let's extrapolate this strategy plan out from here because it's pretty simple in terms of the tire/fuel. So it becomes the type of situation here When we get to 110 to go for the end of stage 2, start of stage 3, we'll have to think about how these drivers are able to split up that third stage with the pit stop situation. However, you have a lot of fast drivers making up some ground here with this restart. One of the drivers that was moving for the caution was Alex Coffey. He's got help from Sanders and Murray as they work up high side.
Yeah, they're working the high side. Great extrapolation, JP, by the way, on the pit strategy for stage 3. And it's going to depend on the tone of the race, I think. Are we going to see this race go back to single file, or are we going to see it develop as we are seeing it now? As guys start to work the outside, it pushes the pace of the race just a little bit higher. And as that happens, more tire wear, potentially an earlier stop in stage 3. Guys are going to be wanting tires a little earlier. It's going to depend on what the tone of the race is at that point. I'll tell you what the tone of the race is for a couple of the red line Chevrolets about 8 rows deep in the field. They just split Mark Sanchez and threw him in the wind. So a couple of those cars again through the center. This time it's Osborne and Nagels after Nagels and Real did it to Chris Cornett just a little while ago.
A little bit of chippiness on the radio involving Timothy Harper, by the way, with some of the checkups going on, but still seems like everyone is digging as much as they can. It seems as though the Aero and BMP cars seem to be on the same page, though. They are a majority of your top 10 at this moment. I'll see where things stand later on, though. By the way, if you want to keep an eye on the action, here's a look at your schedule. Remember, next Tuesday, Cyber Thunder has the cutoff race for its round with the Paperclip, Martinsville at 8 p.m. The next day, it's North Wilkesboro with a points race. Points racing for the first time since the 90s in Wilkes County. That will be at 8 p.m. on the 22nd. Want your league or special event broadcast by us? Visit GoPrecision.live today or send an email to Ryan@PrecisionSpeedSolutions.com to learn how and to learn more. Let's keep it remembering of your in-season challenge here. And obviously, North Wilkesboro is going to be your semi-final for it. Situation is, well, Kyle Horton's out. He's dead last. Brandon Bowie would advance regardless now. Matt Cox is ahead of Wilson. Wilson's got damage. Mark Sanchez behind Gallimore would be one of the brackets that is not seeing an upset yet. 15 versus 10, remember. Gallimore's in second. Timothy Harper versus Alex Coffey. Well, that's 4 for 4 in potential non-upsets right now as they run. Coffey is in sixth.
Yeah, not much of a factor for upsets tonight. Obviously coming in, more of an opportunity, but that crash early in this opening stage, or early in the opening stage rather, took a lot of the upset potential out of tonight's race, at least for now. Some of the drivers that were high seeds coming into a super speedway, you anticipate it's going to be a lot more chaotic than it actually has been, and you've kind of seen the response to that. Alex Coffey coming to the front. Brandon Bowie's not quite yet, although he's drifted a little bit closer to the front than we've seen him at times tonight in car 35, about 12 rows deep in the field right now for him. You're looking back, the best seat in the house in virtual Atlanta, Chris Davis. He's on a Sunday drive essentially up here. Not much challenge for the lead over the past 35 laps.
Yeah, so far Davis has been unopposed, really for any pressure. No one's got it next to him outside the restarts. I think that's kind of just showing just how difficult it's going to be to actually get track position, because you can make some ground up, it seems, on the outside, but it's never been enough to take the lead yet because the drivers behind the leader have been so good on the push.
I think it goes back to the conversation you were having just a moment ago about how good and how kind of on the same page the BMP and Aero cars are. They're the top 3 of the bottom lane. There's been no move out of the top 3 to work around Chris Davis. In fact, no move from outside really the top 7. Back to Sean Rogers. None of those cars want to move up and lead the outside lane. So all of that energy that inside lane has been able to build with Chris Davis leading, Gallimore and Cox being really good pushers behind, they've been able to maintain that without any cars pulling out of line. They've not had to rebuild their run. The outside's lost cars a couple of different times and lost their momentum. They had to rebuild that run over the course of a few different laps. That's happened a few different times. In fact, it just happened again Coffee dropped back about the 4th position on the racetrack, all the way towards the tail end of the top 10. In fact, he just lost the 9th spot to Medina. Here's another run to the outside lane. They've tandemed up, Coffee and Murray, the teammates, but that's about as far as they can get, is 4th, 5th, 6th position on track, because the bottom lane just content to run.
The nervous thing about what we may see from some of the drivers still as the night goes on is keep an eye on exit of turn 2. That seems to be Calamity Corner, because Murray's been pushing in the corner in 1 and 2. That is usually a danger zone. However, you get to the point where you're close to the spoiler but not pushing out of 2. Take, for example, one of the ERA races. Garrett Maines got spun around for a massive pileup. We've seen that in a couple other different series where you aren't close enough to push but are within the air weight to take air off that spoiler. You can absolutely decimate the field by accident.
I was just going to mention, as we get another look at our onboard cameras, the Vanless onboard cameras, I was just going to mention that drivers across the service with this Gen 7 car specifically, really over the past few weeks, have been pointing out increased aero effects, that they can feel the air on the spoiler more so than they've been able to previously. Some updates to this race car over the past several months have kind of amplified that effect, and you really see the effect of taking the air off the spoiler come into play a lot more. That's going to happen tonight. A guy swipes left to right. That's going to drastically change the way that your car feels in the cockpit compared to how it would be if he stayed squared up on your bumper like Alex Murray is with Alex Coffey right now. You see it with Rogers right here. And I'll tell you what, JP, you got to get the drink in somehow down the back straightaway at nearly 200 miles an hour. What an interesting time to do it.
I mean, you have to do it at some point. The lights are turning on around the racetrack, too. So at this point, may as well take a sip before things get very intense here. But there is an important thing to talk about when it comes to the update side. Well, remember the current patches that have been working on all week? There's been a lot of mid-season updates this build for whatever reason for this season of the iRacing schedule already. One of them, accurate pit stop times.
Trouble, JP. We got another car around out back, a couple of them. It's going to draw the caution, I think. William Owens is one of them in the 30. There's another car that's crashed along with him on the inside of turn 4. It's Caden Norfray.
It was Norfray. That was the spark of it to put us under yellow. He lost it with no one near the bumper coming through 3 and 4. Owens was the one who hit him. Remember what we talked about, as the tires wear off, you'll get looser likely, and guess what? The 56 got loose.
Again, it's a similar spot to what I've seen all week. It's not been as amplified tonight, but right there in the center of 3 and 4, especially in the higher lane, is where that grip really starts to go away as the run goes on. And for Norfray right there, a tough break for Owens, an even tougher one, as there is just nowhere to go for him. He commits to a line, it doesn't quite work.
And for Owens, it's just, I don't think he had enough time to check up. Was probably hoping he kept sliding down the track. It didn't happen. And it adds to the hit clock for car number 30. Pit stop time. Out of the Top It Off Hot Sauce Company replay. Adam, to you.
Well, it looks like Alex Coffey is coming in, probably for fuel here. We'll have to wait and see. As well as the 22 of Alex Murray. He was hot on the radio just a little bit ago, unsure about what, and it looks like Coffey is going to get at least 2 tires. And nope, he is for a 4-tire stop, and he'll be on his way.
Off and away, and that was the point I was about to make here, Dawson. We're going to have to adjust the vernacular, because normally 10 seconds or so says, oh, you took 2. No, they've updated it to be like real life, to be a 4-tire pit stop delta.
Yeah, what a fascinating conversation we were just getting ready to have before that caution flag came out, and the fact that pit stops are now varied, and they were a little bit varied before, but now it's closer to the very much widespread real-life delta that you see on 4-tire pit stops. And so for iRacing to implement that service or that feature here to the pit stops makes it so much more realistic and could really throw drivers off come stage 3 if we get into a green flag cycle.
It's wild to me it took 5 years, but it happened eventually, I guess you could say. Just got to make sure those pit stop animations go very, very fast and see how the animations work. In all seriousness, though, it does follow to the realism, and really turns it to where strategy, to where it's as simple as just taking 2, is not quite as simple. There are a few that took 6-second stops, which normal Delta would say with the original build, oh, that's 2 tires. Looking at the stop time though, that is actually a fuel only situation for them, for those in the 6-second bracket.
And again, it's just going to be so interesting as we go throughout this race. Can no longer use the time, kind of match up what a driver does on a pit stop. And again, it can throw things off later in the race, not only under caution, but under green, in terms of it could completely spread the field out. Say your pit stop is a little bit slower than you expect it to be. All of a sudden, say a Chris Davis, a Paul Gallimore, they could be 8th, 9th, 10th in line and be in unfamiliar territory when it comes down to business time in this race.
Remember, we're racing a lap 90 for the stage. We're under 30 to go in it as we get prepared for the restart. Still, Davis, Gallimore, Cox amongst the top 3. They've controlled that much of the way so far. So as this entire field gets all squared away here, the interesting thing is going to be, will someone, anybody, break this up? As Kenny Real has said, watching along with today from the Afterlife, he did say there's so much motor for that inside line that it's kind of made things mute, as we've talked about for the outside line once they get the mo. Let's find out who gets the mo for the Van Louis Stickers restart zone.
It's Chris Davis and Paul Gallimore on the front row. Davis, the control car, again chooses the outside lane. Let's see if he times up the restart like he did with Gallimore last time around to start stage 2. Back into the Van Louis Stickers restart zone. Green flag. Davis times it up. Christensen got a decent jump, but it'll be Davis jumping right back across Gallimore's nose. We're back to status quo with the banking of 1 and 2.
Good start for the 87, good start for the 11, good start for the 00, and we're back to status quo with Brandon Finnerplace taking a spot from Nigel Christensen. For side-by-side, actually a bit of door banning. You had Carr, Medina, Sanchez, and many others glued bumper to bumper on that outside. Nagel's amongst those who, I guess, feel it's time to make some moves. The outside's got some decent motor to start.
Well, it's so interesting. This outside lane has seen different levels of success tonight. I think the best success you saw is when the red line cars were up there. It really is dependent on who has been in that line. You saw a lot of success for Alex Coffey and Alex Murray up there when they got to be the leaders in that lane. When Cody Nichols and Kenny Reel were the leader of that lane went. It depends on the cars that are leading the lane and dragging it along, and the cars that are pushing them behind them. Depending on what setup they have, how good their setups are, is how well that line is moving. Nagels immediately bails. He gets to the 8th position, right behind Sean Rogers, and bails out, goes right to the bottom and decides, that's enough for me for now. We'll see how long that lasts, though, once he gets some momentum over here in 1 and 2.
As we're off at once, so it's in the heavy checkered. Look at that. That is 172 miles an hour at the back of the field. The front of it's at 186. Big differences with some of these side drafts, but also just how much some of the drivers are getting too close for bumper-to-bumper contact here. Speaking of contact, 34-16 training paint, 44-16 rather. Rogers and Nagels nearly lost it down the front straightaway. You have to be careful with how close you get. Nagels is starting to side draft pretty aggressively as you see Davis in the front.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that as we watch from behind Chris Davis with Nagels, that side draft's gotten a little bit more aggressive as we've gotten here into stage 2. He tested the limits in stage 1 and started to see how close he could get. Now is really getting down the door of the inside lane, trying to get that lane to go. And that's one of the primary ways to get it to work. Contact, stack up, trouble. Around goes Trevor Osmanoff. Ryan Catalano's around a multi-car accident in turn 1, is going to collect a bunch of them. At least the 92, the 89, some others. Mackin's involved. Treat is involved as he comes to a stop behind this incident. A multi-car crash on lap 16, the 4th caution of the night.
Let's extrapolate what happened here, because again, the data shows there was some stack-ups happening time in, time out. I give it a 100% chance that stack-up happened again. What do you say?
It absolutely did, and this time it was closer to the front of the field, right behind the Nagels machine we were talking about. It starts up ahead with Rogers and Carr and works back to Osbornoff and a few others. Metler's in it, Mackin's in it, Catalano, Sanchez, Looks like Caden Norfray may have caught another piece of this one as well. Jose Medina is involved in the 24. Maybe Timothy Harper got a piece of the initial stack up as well. You're on board with Alex Coffey. He's right behind this. He's going to get a little bit lucky that this cleans up to the top side of the racetrack and he's able to dip low. That could have been a lot worse for a couple of cars. Coffey and Bowie there, both avoiding narrow.
Yeah, that was very close for the 54. Again, one of those trying to make sure they score points. Same for Bowie. He's already been around once tonight. Really, that brings us to a caution flag period again, and a few drivers will have to take some service. This top of the Ponce's Company replay concluded. Adam Curley on the search real quick down on pit lane to set things up for some of the conversations here. But we have two of them lined up. The first, one of those, I believe you got a Ouija board out because you found Kenny.
Hello.
Hello. Adam.
Thank you very much, JP. Kenny, tonight's just been one of those nights. If you didn't have bad luck, you wouldn't have any luck at all.
Yeah, it's just one of those tracks. It's really tight racing, you know, really really aero dependent, especially the bottom lane's been rolling. We tried to make that middle lane. It's just the farther you are back, the easier it is to make your way forward, but then once you get forward, they're leaving big gaps on the bottom. Try not to aero grief the guy in front of them, so all the momentum just stalls off the corner because they're getting the run to the guy in front of them, so they're not checking up as bad up front, so it's just harder to move forward up there. So looks like the bottom line is probably going to be the most dependent line at the end, but yeah, just unfortunate, but we move on.
And you had a pretty fast race car. Any words to your crew tonight?
No, just it looks like they're doing pretty good out here. I know Cody's doing well. I know Trev was just involved in that wreck, but it seems like they're doing pretty good. It's just going to be tough out there. Those guys up front are looking hard to beat. They know what they're doing on the bottom lane, so you're really going to have to get the top organized to really be able to get in front and beat those guys. But just hopefully one of them get it done like we did at Dega.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kenny, and we'll see you next week.
Appreciate it.
Get a reel there as we're coming up to the restart real quickly. We'll dial him up here. Alex, real quickly, dodge the trouble there. You've been up and down on the speed. You've been fast, though, after your pit stops. How are you feeling about this 54?
It feels good tonight. Just trying to get some people to work with. Try to get the top going at the end of stage one, and didn't really have any numbers up there, so kind of just where the numbers are at right now. But bolted some new tires on it, try to go to the front, so we'll see what we can do.
Our producer wants us to compare you to Cole Trickle because of the dodging ability. We'll see if you find the same speed to be able to pick up the big win. Good luck here, Alex.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Alex Coffey taking a quick moment to speak with us here as we'll send him to a dig room. We'll figure out eventually where he is. But with that being said, we're under 20 to go, coming in 19 to Green Dawson. All these drivers getting more and more nervous.
And more nervous, but you know, more or less not about the chaos, but about whether or not they're going to be able to gain track position. I mean, you heard Kenny Real talking about it right there. The bottom's been dominant. The outside's not been able to go. Alex Coffey said they're trying to get people to go. They just can't get the numbers. We'll see if it changes right here. Green flag back in the air as they work through the Van Lilly stickers. Restart zone. Davis away again. This time, he was able to time it up with an arrow stablemate in Brandon Fetterplace. Fetterplace not able to get clear. That contingent on the bottom has now been broken up just a little bit. Corey Moore and Brandon Fetterplace are on the outside lane now. Top three make it top four are the same. But a couple of cars on the outside that weren't there before. Track temp down to 80. This place is cooling off. We'll see if that helps the outside just a little bit.
See how the grip levels go, absolutely, as this night now gets later and later. Still have about 18 laps, though, to sort things out the inside again. Control over the same cars. Fetterplace is the one who got stuck on the high side this time, though, on the conveyor belt. Putting Christensen back up to fourth, the highest of the dig cars as things go. Speaking of drivers on the high side, triple car tandem, Still a thing that looks like here. Nagels is trying to get both the 34 and the 19 to get better speed for the back. And Moore wants help.
It feels like he and Alex Coffey have been the two really trying to lead that outside charge. Alex Murray was in that contingent just a while ago. Johnny Shade's gone up there a few times as well. But Nagels and Coffey have been the two that have really tried to push this outside lane forward. Nagels has just wanted to get to the front so badly. He's gotten as high as 4th in this race. Restarted 2nd after the big crash. Has not been back to the front since that second pit stop under caution just a while ago. He now pushes Fetter Place, but they're not going anywhere. They drop behind Medina. Nagels bails out, and the outside fails once again. A statement to how good the top 3 cars on the bottom are. Back to Matt Cox. They have full control of the race right now. Nothing doing for anyone 8th on back.
By the way, bad news if you're a Kenny Norfray fan. He just came down pit road, then proceeded to sit in the pit box, then proceeded to turn a hard left into the wall, and he is now towed. Your biggest mover. Seen some of the shufflers on the screen. Plus 25 is Barry Sanders. He's up to 6th. After riding in the back early, he's now comfortable enough to ride up front.
Yeah, and was in the outside lane a moment ago, too, and got lucky enough right there on that race start to jump down in front of Greg Carr, get down to the inside lane. He's right behind Sean Rogers in a good spot. But here comes the challenge. Outside lane working just a little. Nagels bailed. Wilson kept up the fight on the outside. Couple of dig cars behind him, 3 of them actually back to Alex Coffey, all behind Fetter Place, and they're starting to work on it now. They're going to be as high as that outside lane has been here in just a few moments. They're almost to Rogers in 5th.
Almost there, but again it dies off, as has been the case most of the night. Wayne Wilson, though, shout out to him, has fixed all the damage essentially on that 18. It's fast again. That's why he's helping out on the outside. See from Rogers, he's amongst those in the top 5. Big check up in front.
Yeah, you see the brake input right there. Again, this has been the story of stage 2. Is the checkups on both lines that caused the crash a little while ago with Osmanoff and company. You saw Rogers right there, almost over half of his brake input right there in turn 1, and he is running 5th on the racetrack right now. It shows you how much these stack-ups have affected these top 4 as temperatures start to get hot under the engine, under the hood, and that's going to allow the outside another jolt. Here comes Blaine Wilson. He now leads it. He's the lead car in line. Coffey has bailed. Nagel switched spots with him, so we're playing a little bit of musical chairs in that outside lane, but it's a trio of Dig Toyotas, and they're going to try to get it going now.
They'll try and find something to work up there. Some of the drivers need the points. Murray is one of those we're on board with right now, you see. He's not one of them. Murray, after all the trouble that seems to have sparked up here, willing to just ride along with Moore, along with Coffey, some of those error machines from that camp at the back. Brian Catalano has lost touch with the back of the field late in this stage, coming around to 10 to go this time. He, Mack, and Treat, Ashurov need a caution.
Yeah, a few of these cars back there still have damage from the last caution or even from earlier crashes at this point in the race that they need to address here at this stage break. Just trying to stay close enough that they can get that damage fixed here in about 10 laps time. It will be 10 to go in the stage. The outside's falling apart again. That's because the 3rd car in line, Timothy Arbor, got split to the wall by, guess who? Cody Nagels. 3rd time tonight. He split through the center, trying to get something to go. In that process, Coffey got back up in front of him. Now a bit of a different order. Wilson, Shade, Coffey, Nagels outside. You're on board with Harper, and I can't imagine he'll be too apt to go up there and push the red line 16 anytime soon.
Yeah, so far, it feels as though the way this race is going to get decided is either going to be by pit stops or by somebody getting ditched, it feels like, in the last few laps, a la Carson Hocevar. Or someone sending a 3 wide, a la Shane Van Gisbergen. So, at this point, how do you break that up at this point? Is there anything you can do to take the opportunity to switch that?
There's not a whole lot you can do unless you're one of the cars right behind these 3 leaders, and I don't think they want to move. Obviously, Sean Rogers' teammates with Gallimore and Cox 2nd and 3rd, so he's not going anywhere. Christensen and Moore, or rather, it's not Moore anymore, it's Barry Sanders, is an aero car. He doesn't want to see Chris Davis get past. He's not going to be the first one to jump out of line. A number of these cars around the front are either teammates or have been on the same page all night. We talked about Aero and BNP earlier. If any cars were going to jump up, I would have expected it to be a couple of the dig cars. Christensen would be the car. If they get to him, it is 3 of their team cars leading that outside lane. I would anticipate he would be the first car to try to break up this party at the front if his teammates get there.
For now, though, they all chugga-chugga-choo-choo. Stay in line and try and take their points maybe. The 4-car tandem working pretty well. Here comes the outside, though. Attempt by Blaine Wilson with the checkup. Will he be able to go anywhere? Coffey's moved up a few spots in front of Nagels. Johnny Shane is getting pushed to try and get back up to the 18 up there in the backdrop. But however, the gap is still not closing enough to actually do much. Coming up 5 to go this time. You can do all you can to try and go, but the shorter distance still working perfectly.
I think Johnny Shane's got some issues with grip underneath his race car. There's been a couple of times he's had to lift big out of the throttle going into the corner, and that has stopped up the momentum that normally you get on corner exit. That line has had a couple of times they started to build momentum, but then Shade has had to lift, like right now. A car length and a half back from the Blaine Wilson machine. He got a little bit closer that time. They're going to stay alongside Rogers and Sanders. So we'll see if they've started to figure it out. Matt Mettler is up there now in car number 7. Mark Sanchez is starting to get on the move. I saw Brandon Bowie up there for a brief moment just a second ago. A few laps back, he has since dropped down behind Timothy Harper, about 16th in the field right now. But it continues to be only 5 cars up there. Now they start to triple tandem again. They were doing this for a few laps. They've started to do it again. The front 4 are quad tandem at times, and that is what has kept them out front. We'll see it again here in about a half a lap's time.
Let's find out with 3 to go. Coming up where these drivers finish in a moment or so, the next 90 seconds. Wilson still staying at the door of Sanders. It's been that case for the past few laps. Still no momentum. 20 cars are in the main pack, separated by just 1.4 seconds, by the way. Hearing a call of he's slow. I think that's what we're seeing from the outside. I think Nagels is not liking what we're seeing from the lines. Either that or saying he's low.
Yeah, it could be either one. Would not be surprising if it was the former, though, because remember, Blaine Wilson has been fixing damage in this race. And so you wonder if perhaps a complaint of pushing a damaged car, is that hindering the progress of the outside lane just a little bit? If there is some lingering damage concerns on the Wilson machine, and that's why they continue to stall out. They've done so again, by the way. They've dropped all the way back to the 9th position. That's where Wilson is right now on the charts. Coming back to 1 to go on the stage here, on board with Coffey. And again, at some point, this has got to get frustrating. That outside has not been able to go. If they're going to go, it's going to be right now. The gap between Gallimore and Cox as big as it's been all night.
2 laps to go. Good look at Sanders trying to move up a bit. Is he going to try it again? No. Wilson has a chance if he wants to move down here. Now Sanders is going to try and move up some spots. This is on his own. Up to the top 5. Can he get in front of the BMP of Rogers, though? No, he will get assistance. And Matt Cox moved up for the final time around in stage 2.
Yeah, you saw a little bit of movement there, and there it is.
Caution already out. Chris Davis, Paul Gallimore. Once the top 2, the caution took a few moments there. Matt Cox to the top 3. Christensen, Sanders, Wilson, Rogers, Fenner, Place, Shade, and Greg Carr. We're all amongst those in your top 10 with the stage end. Thoughts on stage number 2 here, Dawson, as this will put everyone back on even playing field with under 110 to go.
Well, again, I think the tone of the race has changed since that incident stage 1. I think when we had more competitive cars at the front of the field, we had more energy to go into the outside lane. You saw it more viable than it is now. Less cars, more guys wanting to ride the red line, has meant that the bottom lane has been able to dominate this race. And I think Kenny Real touched on it a little bit earlier when we talked to him in the infield care center, that the inside was going to be hard to beat as long as guys were going to stay down there and maintain the run. And that's what the top 4 have done basically since that incident. in stage one. It will take one or more of them moving that'll open this race up, and surely, again, that will happen in stage three. Gallimore, Cox, the other VMP car, Rogers, they will not want to just push Davis to a second straight Atlanta win.
Adam's working on the storylines real quickly here as they all peel down. In fact, Adam, perfect timing. Are you there?
And everybody coming down pit road here, they're going to get 4 tires and fuel and get ready for this 110 lap run to the finish. I just spoke with Barry Sanders. He said the car felt great towards the end there, and it reflected where he finished in stage number 2.
They'll take the service with 10-second pit stops here off and away. Gallimore Munso's off, but Matt Cox, good jump. But it's going to be Davis yet again peeling off. Gallimore seeing a change to second. Christensen ahead of the 00. Sees the top 4 see one shuffle at least. We'll take a break. Stage 2 is complete. It's the race to the checkered from here on out. You're watching the Barry M. Deeper Mortuary 250. Welcome back to tonight's coverage here on Precision Entertainment as we get set to go for more coverage of the Barry M. Deeper 250. It's Prince Dawson Wise, Adam Thompson down on pit road, Ryan Bauer, producer tonight. Getting set for stage 3, Dawson. Chris Davis has led 76 laps.
Yeah, and it's felt like a race where Davis has been dominant. And again, it's been primarily because of the drivers behind him. Gallimore, Cox, Christensen, Rogers, Sanders, a loyal contingent to just ride behind Davis until the closing stages. Avoid the chaos going on further back in the field. So we get ready to go back green for stage 3. They're split up again. We'll see if the status quo breaks. They work back in the Van Lille-Stickers restart zone. Stage 3 is green. Davis, Cox off and running. And we may very well see them line up by the time they work up to turn 1.
Off and away they go, and yet again, now it's the 00 lined up for the push right behind the 11. As a result of how things looked off the jump. Yet again, bottom line prevails. Johnny Shade, though, if I can try to be one of those capitalize on the bottom momentum. Barry Sanders first to leave the outside.
Again, it's a couple of those big cars. Cody Nagels, Greg Carr, Jose Medina, Mark Sanchez, all trailing behind the boss man, Barry Sanders. These are all cars, for the most part, that have at one point tried this outside lane to work forward. So far, not a ton of gain. Now they start to get a little bit up the hill of turn 1. They get alongside of Sean Rogers. That would be for the 5th spot. Notably now, Wilson is the pushing car. And I talked a minute ago about maybe some frustration about Wilson being the lead car. If there is a little bit of lingering damage on the Blaine Wilson machine, it would slow up that line if he's the leader. If that car's in clean air, it would create a little bit of aero struggles for the outside lane to roll. If he's the lead pusher, all of a sudden that damage becomes a little bit less amplified. He can maintain that energy and maintain the push. And I'll tell you what, JP, this is the best the outside has looked since stage 1. Barry Sanders on the move on the push from Wilson and Coffey.
Sanders trying to find some way to get this outside line to do something. Right now it's alongside fifth again. Yet again it's dying off. And yet again, status quo remaining the same here with still just about more than half the race to go. And remember, while the pit stop time has changed here, Dawson, if you look at the data, extrapolate the fuel distance, still expecting 60 to 70 laps tonight.
It will be a little while here before drivers come to pit road under the green flag if we do get to that point. So they've got a while to kind of stew on this, to think on how are they going to get this outside to work, how are they going to break up this group of four here at the front. Another big run to the outside. Remember, they got alongside of Christensen, almost to the right rear of Gallimore last time they tried this. But watch here down the backstretch. Watch that inside group. Although that time they get a little bit squirrely. Gallimore couldn't quite get to Matt Cox. What they've been doing is this big four-car deep quad tandem bump right down the back straightaway, and it vaults that line forward and it maintains their momentum right there. Gallimore got a little bit squirrely down the backstretch, got a little offset from Matt Cox, and that's allowed the outside to maintain their hold here, and they've got a foothold inside the top three. Sanders alongside Gallimore. Gallimore is this time able to square up. Let's see if the front four are able to make that push. Gallimore had to lift a little bit, and another time bot where they're not really able to vault that energy. Sanders looking for third, may get to the right rear of Cox.
Nearly did. Instead, it stays alongside the 11. Look at how much that inside is feeling the pressure to go. The outside line is faster by 3 miles an hour. If they get that 0-0 pulled back here, who knows, we may see our first major change up on the high side here. Let's find out if this works. Triple car tandem. Tempers flaring to the back of the field because Tree and Matthews are side by side. But the outside is starting to die off. 99 to go. We're past halfway.
And I think part of that with the inside not going as much as Nigel Christensen was leaving a little more of a gap than he was earlier in stage 2. Now that gap's closed back up, and that inside lane has gotten back together, and they have started this. And now they triple tandem down the backstretch. Again, at times they are working on a 4-car push down the backstretch. And again, this is a product of this new Gen 7 race car. A couple of months ago, iRacing updating the specs on this Gen 7 race car. The Super Speedway package races a whole lot more like it does in real life. It's dependent on pushes 5, 6, 7 cars deep in line. So the more cars you have with energy moving in the same direction, the more cars that you can push forward and get in line and working on the same page, the faster your line's going to move. That's why the inside has been as good as it's been tonight, because Cox, Gallimore, and Christensen have been on the same page pushing-wise. Although the outside's starting to get a little bit better as this night goes on. The bottom's showing a few cracks. It's not quite as flaw-free as we saw in stage 2. It felt almost perfect at times, the pushes they were able to line up. It's not been the case in stage 3, and that's allowed that outside lane to have a foothold.
And doing well, if you will, right now. Rogers able to get himself back clear in that inside groove. Johnny Shade has been keeping the track position here. He's gotten the bottom line that's kind of helped him here. But at 45, he's kind of in a good spot here to try and see if he can position himself later. Right now, the second highest up in terms of dig car entries here. He is not one of those on the biggest mover board. He's only a +3 tonight.
Well, yeah, and as he works the inside now, he sees that outside coming, and he's been one of the ones that's been active in jumping up there a couple of different times with a couple of those other Dig eSports Camrys, and now that he's gotten up to the 6th position, he's more willing to ride. Now, again, later in the race, that's going to change. Shade, a guy below the cut line, he desperately needs something to go his way. A top 6 would be great. A win would be a turnaround moment for the Daytona winner last July. And for Johnny Shade, he'd love to go to victory lane tonight and get this season back on track. The luck has not been on his side. He's looking for a change in that tonight. Here's another run to the outside. It's really only 4 cars up there now, by the way. Most everyone has bailed. Medina, Sanchez, Mettler continue to kind of trail about 10 car lengths behind. But it's really just Sanders, Wilson, Coffey, and Nagels, although now Timothy Harper jumps up there, and that's going to be something else that helps them. The more numbers they have, the more even the 2 lines are, the more likely the outside's going to get some jump.
And for this entire field. Time continues to just tick away here in this race. Up the track, Wilson starting to see a few drivers starting to struggle on the grip. That 18 was way up there down the front. You got to make sure you keep this car stable with the way things are going here. Some dangerous bubbles popping up here.
Yeah, and again, as the tires continue to get a little bit worse, and especially on this end of the speedway in turns 3 and 4, there's a couple of big-time bumps, especially in that outside lane. And watch those cars very closely as we get later into a tire run here, and those guys continue to try to push. By pushing, by the way, running up the racetrack just a little bit, it's more throttle input, it's more load, especially on the right side tires, and as such, it's more tire wear. They're going to feel those effects a little earlier than the guys on the bottom side of the racetrack, but they're able to lift, feeling those checkups. That's helping them save tire a little bit on the bottom side as well. They've gotten another car. Alex Murray's jumped up now, so make the number on the outside 9 back to Matt Mettler that are trailing along here in this lead pack. Of course, still about 11 cars on the inside, 3 wide. They're going to split Barry Sanders out into the wind. You wonder now, do they wonder if Sanders being the lead car was the issue? They're going to try to send Blaine Wilson back to the front of the line, and Sanders submits. He says, all right, I'll jump down here. You guys gave me the idea. I'm just going to jump down behind Johnny Shade in front of his teammate Brandon Fetterplace. But the dig car is trying to split Sanders right there. They're getting impatient.
Yeah, they have 3 different dig cars lined in, plus Cody Nagels, then an air dig car. And once those in this Toyota choo-choo train up there, still nothing doing on the gaps. By the way, here's Brandon Bowie. Haven't really talked too much about him tonight. But for him, he's had 1 top 10 of the super speedways this season in 3 attempts. Usually has been running in the teams like this. One of those not willing to take a risk up top.
A guy that doesn't like plate racing, which, again, for as good as he is in all the other disciplines, a little surprising. Bowie does not necessarily like this type of racing. He doesn't like this racetrack. He told us that last week, so no surprise to me. He's just biding his time. He knows chaos is going to happen later in this race. If he can miss it, he'll salvage a great finish and continue to buffer that points lead. Ryan Catalano, speaking of salvaging, right behind Brandon. Bowie trouble! Coffee gets turned off Murray's bumper. It's calamity mid-pack. Murray, Nagels, big crash. Mettler, other cars come into it as well, as a couple of the big contenders are into the wall with 89 to go.
Under caution again, not in the fuel window. That all started off with a bad bump, I think, in 3 and 4 maybe, Dawson. The contact with the 54 and 22 sends us in the top it off Hot Sauce Company replay.
Some impatience again with those Dig eSports cameras that we just talked about a moment ago. That Cody Nagels trying to extrapolate exactly what happened there, exactly what just went on in front of him. You're going to see the push right here. As Murray tries to square back up with Coffee, they are going across a bump that's in turn 4 right there, and as they do, Coffee collected by Murray, and it is on from there. And there's some big damage on these cars. Sanchez spinning like a top. Medina, of course, Nagels, who we're on board with now, Murray, and a couple of others involved. Matt Mettler came into this in the 7. A number of cars involved in the Talladega winner. Super Speedway luck this year runs out here for Nagels as he gets collected by a couple.
Heavy hits for a lot of those drivers, absolutely. Pit stops underway in live action, but Mark Sanchez would fall on board with him. One of those on the cut line coming in.
Oh, man, big hit Mettler to Nagels, and that Nagels car almost gets all the way up and over. And then a big one there, macking into Sanchez. That's what sent the Sanchez car spinning around like a top. It's in the contact again here. Watch Mettler. Watch off the front of this car as he's going to get an up-close and personal view of the undercarriage of Cody Nagels' Chevrolet.
Yep, that is definitely going to cause significant problems for the 16 with his chassis getting ripped apart. But really, when you have an incident like this, you've got to make sure as drivers you have the heads up. Here's Medina. Did he have the heads up? He's 24th. That should give a sign. No. And at least half the field is still down pit road with damage repair as we're under caution as a result of this situation. So as the field gets itself sorted, you're taking a look at the 38. He tonight just so happens to be your off-axis paint driver profile tonight. Here for this one, as that was the previous week's card. We'll say he is one of those based out of Gilbert, Arizona. 26 years old, yet to get a win this season. He's a Casey Kane fan, but he's been to every single NASCAR race he could be at in Phoenix. He's been going to Phoenix Raceway since 2002. He's been a handful of F1 races, whether in Montreal or at COTA. He's also gone to the UK for the British GP and the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. An interesting backstory. Adams caught up with him on the radio.
Hi, Blake. Welcome on in. You're our driver profile feature driver of this week. You got quite a bit of accolades that you have been able to attend so many F1 races and NASCAR races, obviously being to Phoenix Raceway since 2002. Just tell us about the experiences that you've had.
Yeah, I'm definitely lucky to be able to go to those F1 races as well as the NASCAR races. Definitely want to check a couple more NASCAR tracks off the list. But it's definitely been fun, all thanks to my grandpa. He's been taking me since I've been 2 years old to Phoenix, and then he's big into the F1, a little bit more than I am. But that's just been fun, being able to do all that.
Well, we're coming to green here, and we thank you for joining us, and good luck with the rest of your evening.
Thank you. You guys have a great one.
Icon Shield getting set for the restart here in this one. And as we get set to go, Chris Davis, only driver not to pit. He's going to have an interesting one. Everybody else on fresher tires. Will that matter for the Van Louis 6 restart zone? Well, the answer is maybe. He chose the outside. Nigel Christensen now up to second for a moment.
And you're going to see a moment of hesitation as he thinks about, do I jump behind Davis or do I stay with my teammate Blaine Wilson? And this is what I talked about a little bit ago in terms of breaking those guys up. If Christensen had a chance to jump to the outside with a teammate in Blaine Wilson, I said he would probably do it. They're alongside Gallimore. They're going to try to lead the outside line now for Christensen, a guy that could desperately use a victory tonight in Atlanta to jumpstart his 2026 season one that has completely gone awry from the start. Davis continues to lead for now. I'll tell you, the decision to not pit to me tells me how good that 87 car is. The confidence to stay out on old tires tells me that car is driving exactly how he wants it to. And as the field works off turn two, the top lane dies. Status quo again, top three still. Your top three back to turn 3 and 4.
Still riding as they have been, it seems, all night. A few drivers have lost the pack. Jim Treat, William Owens, Trevor Ashford, Barry Sanders. He wants some outside runs back. He wants all his positions back. He, remember, was in the top 5 for a moment.
Yeah, he wants that track position back that he had just a little while ago. Jumps to the outside, and he's got a couple of different cars with him, including Brandon Bowie.
Few big names starting to make their way through. Let's take a listen in to the audio. We apologize for that technical difficulty as we are currently going to work on that. So with that being said, radio style sees us currently working our way through 1 and 2. Right now, to reset your top 10, it's Chris Davis in the race lead in car 87. He's led 102 laps tonight. Matt Cox in second with 1 lap led in the 00. Paul Gallimore in third in the 11 car with Sean Rogers is 44 in P4. Top 5 currently getting shuffled between Johnny Shade and Nigel Christensen. Christensen's up at the top line. Then Johnny Shade's on the inside. Brandon Fitter plays also in this conversation on the inside line. Then it's Blaine Wilson amongst those choosing to run the outside. Alex Coffey was just on the outside. He just blended down to the inside. Alonso's in the top 10. Barry Sanders just joined the top 10 as now everybody except for car 88 amongst the top part of the field has gone to the bottom as we work our way down the front straightaway. Sanders is aggressive. Side trapped on the 18, stays at the door, pushed up the racetrack. He goes higher, up in 1 and 2, trying to get the run back.
And trying to get the run back with Aaron Matthews, a car we haven't talked a lot about tonight in the 5. He continues to work a lap down, by the way, in that all-yellow, all-about sheet metal, number 5 Chevrolet. They work back to turn 3, top 8 worse, single file, rather top 9. Sanders trying to work to the outside of Wilson, but again, it continues to be the status quo off 4.
Sanders not getting any help too much anymore as the 5 drops back with him. They drop back alongside Corey Moore in the 10th position, trying to find a way to get something together here. That Icon Apparel Co-machine just looking for something.
Yeah, looking for something. A couple of these cars are trying to get to the front. We saw the Dig Esports Camrys try it again. They've all since blended down as we get our picture back there from the Atlanta Motor Speedway, the EchoPark Speedway as it's now referred to. And as they come back to the line, 77 to go. Chris Davis has led all but about 15 of the laps in tonight's race. Most of the ones that are not led by him are led by the driver right behind him in Matt Cox. The 2 dominant cars tonight, and it continues to show how good those cars are. The bottom continues to be the dominant lane because those cars have never broken off from one another, save for when they have to go through a restart.
76 laps to go. This time by as they all work their way through. Chris Davis trying to make sure to hold on for now. But the help of the 00. Still, you're almost to the point of green. The green light, should say, on your fuel. Interesting enough that Matt Lurch just came down pit road. But in all seriousness, though, pretty soon, next flag or potentially later on the run, about 50, 60 laps, pit stops, going to be a very active place here coming up for a lot of these drivers here, Dawson.
Yeah, really curious to see when that pit stop actually falls and if anybody's willing to go off cycle to try to beat these top 4 cars back to Sean Rogers. I'm really curious, especially about Dig Esports. Their cars are fast. They can work the outside lane. If they could get lined up, I'd be curious to see what their lap times would be if they can get a good number of cars to go with them to pit road. Again, numbers are everything at these super speedways. The more numbers you have, typically, the faster you're going to be, especially in this era of this Gen 7 race car where they have made the update to where the number of cars in line typically affects it, although they're not going to wait that long. Nigel Christensen to the outside, Blaine Wilson, Alex Coffey, Corey Moore with him. 4 Dig Esports Toyota Camrys lined up in the outside lane. Barry Sanders says, I'll jump on and be the caboose of that train. He's not the caboose anymore, though. First time we've seen Blake Hochschild make a move. He's going to jump in the outside lane.
Feels like it's time to at least try something, I guess you could say here. Try and see if you can get the momentum working. Cornette a little bit low. Held on to it, though, on the 84.
Yeah, here comes Christensen in the 20. He's up alongside Gallimore. This is again about as close as the outside's been all night long. It'll be well up to whether this triple tandem works down the backstretch. There it is. Gallimore through Cox, through Davis, and the out and inside continues to roll once again. The outside holds serve a little bit better there in turns 3 and 4. And why is that? Because the lead pack has less cars as the attrition continues to take hold in this race, and the inside's got a little more disorganization. The outside's going to see a bit more of an even playing field. They're able to have more of the cars in the pack on their lane, whereas earlier, say stage 2, when there were only 3 or 4 cars up there, everyone else was running along the double red line. That gave the bottom all the momentum. That's starting to become a thing of the past as cars fade off this lead pack.
Going to be very intriguing as we have a lot of bobbling for Cornette down the front again. Narrowing up into Sanders' door. For whatever reason, all of a sudden, some of the drivers on the inside line are starting to get a little bit squirrely in the quad oval. Cornette is actually pitting.
An early pit stop at Cornette is way off cycle. Well, I thought he was pitting there, but I guess taking it down to the apron to go to the back of the pack. Again, trying to stay away from cars. He has a number of laps down, so no surprise there.
Yeah, get out of the way just to make sure you don't cause problems for the rest of the race leaders. Probably smart play when you are the last car running on the track in 27th. You can see Corey Moore trying to find a way to go in the 19. Right now, that outside still isn't really pushing. And again, they insist on Wilson being the lead car here. Again, we've already heard comments from people on the radio getting chippy with the 18 being the leader on the outside. Eventually, you would think they would change it up, try and get an air dig car up there. Shades there.
Well, remember back just a while ago in late stage 2, JP, they had Barry Sanders as their lead car in the 88, and they hung him out to dry and put Wilson right back out in front of the line again. So obviously they know something about Blaine Wilson's car that it appears to be the best leading the line. But when other cars got in front of that lane is when it tended to move the best. Now that lane has moved up once alongside Gallimore and Cox, but that's as far as they've gotten, and now everybody's bailed. All the cars that have been around them in that line, even Christensen, jump back down to the inside. No one really is willing to get up there and help. Greg Carr's going to jump up there. And again, I can't help but notice that when other cars are in front of this line, it moves. When Wilson's been in front of it, they have stalled more often than not. They're all the way back to 7th position now. It's where Wilson runs. Again, we take lap 134, 67 to go. Here they come again. Another try at it with a checkup.
So right now, we are just about, if not already, in the green light on the fuel tanks. At this point forward, Johnny Shade, by the way, is riding top 5. It should be interesting to keep an eye on for car 45. What he does next here. Already, again, about 20 laps and everybody's runs except for Chris Davis. You have to wonder, does everyone pit eventually with the 87 or just stretch the run long with the quick stops if it comes down to it? Because in about 10 minutes time, we're about to find out if Chris Davis is going to be on his own or gets the caution he's waiting for.
Yeah, obviously a good point with Davis being off cycle from the leaders now. You wonder if, at the very least, a few of his teammates would pit with him. Of course, he's got Brandon Fetterplace in this pack. He's got Barry Sanders in this pack. He's got Brandon Bowie towards the tail end of this pack as well. A few other Aero cars are in this pack. But do they want to risk being a 4-car group going up against the rest of the field going off cycle? You wonder if they want to risk it, or Davis will be all by his lonesome. He's led so many laps tonight, but will the gamble pay off for him? Will he have drivers willing to go with him when he pits? You know, what about Cox, Gallimore, and Rogers? 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. They've been working so well with Davis all night. What do those cars do when that pit stop comes? Do they stay with the Davis machine that they've been so loyal to all night? Do they try to run it out and pit when they did Camrys do?
It's going to require some communication and potentially some friends. Still hard to swap any places. Still here as the outside again struggling back. See how much Davis continues to push. He's to the point where I don't even know if he's running sometimes with 2 hands on the wheel in some cases. He is focused though. Look at that, he's trying to make an adjustment. That's a little bit sketchy there with the left side, trying to make sure he clicks whatever he needs to change.
Again, I think that's a testament to the confidence in not only, his ability here, again, the defending winner here in Atlanta, but also how good that car is. Driving with one hand on the entry to the corner, a really tough place to drive that car into the corner and not have it push up the racetrack, not lose your line. And he is able to look over, make an adjustment, look back, and that car is still stuck to that red line. That car is really, really good tonight.
You see Rogers having to work. A little bit of bottoming out there, it sounded like for a moment, by the way, on the checkup. Oh, contact Fetter plays behind these drivers dancing around. A few of these cars starting to make a little bit of nerve-wracking moves in the corner. There's Christensen getting loose. Now it's side-by-side. Fetter plays with the 18.
Try this again. It's again Wilson, Coffey, Matthews is up there with them now, along with Barry Sanders. Again, Matthews is not on the lead lap. He's in this lead pack. He's got a clean car, but he has not scored on the lead lap there on the left side on your timing tower. But he continues to try to help this line work forward, trying to help get to the Aero cars to the front here. Again, he's another one. Forgot to mention Aaron Matthews in this pack because he's not in the lead lap. He's another Aero car that can play into this strategy call in just a moment. So making 5 of their cars that are in this lead pack right now that could go off cycle with Davis. But will they? They're also very separated on the racetrack right now. Davis leads, better place 6th in line on the bottom. And then you get back to Matthews, Sanders, and Bowie at the tail end of this lead pack. Would that part of it work out also?
That's the huge question for some of the drivers with all the dig cars lined up. Dig 1 specifically. The communications. Matthews amongst others had a really rough season. That 5's making his way forward too. Barry Sanders also, blue 19, just going to ride along the red line. About 50 laps into the run for Davis total, 58 to go in the race. Wilson's now made his way nearly to the door of the 11. So the dig cars are getting something in sync here, getting something going.
Yeah, they got to time up these runs just a little bit better because down the backstretch is when that top 3 tends to pull away and fault that line forward. And they just did it again. Triple tandem bump draft down to the end of the back straightaway. The dig Camrys on the top side have not been able to really time up that run as well off turn 2 to match them and then gain their time in turn 1, which has been where they have been better in terms of the pushing. Matt Cox, a big gap there for a moment on Chris Davis. Grip handling starting to go away potentially on the Watchfire Chevy of Cox on the inside. It's right here off turn 2. The dig cars so far apart. Watch this top 3 into turn 3. They get really close together, and that's where they find most of their speed. Although that time there was not that coordinated bump, and that's going to allow Wilson, Coffey, and Christensen to get just a little bit closer.
And again, you can see that outside's making moves. Side draft on the 11 this time. You see this from Roger, this tail fin. Right there, bumper to bumper. They're really low down the back straightaway this time. Trying to get that bottom line slowed up. They're running about 180 miles an hour at the moment on both sides of the racetrack. Wilson nearly lost it, held onto it.
That's the impatience factor. Those cars know that they have to try to get the ground while they can. And with Coffey right there, he was trying to tee up Wilson for a push, and it just did not get quite square. And the momentum's gone once again. They're back to 5th and going backwards again. He'll get a push here with Coffey from Christensen there, a triple tandem, but it's just not enough. This top 4 have been on point with the pushes, with timing their runs all race, and they again dispatch of the top lane. They're all the way back to 6th.
All this is, again, another reset, and first time tonight, guess what they're going to have to potentially deal with? It's called lap traffic. You can extrapolate all you want in terms of potential plays, but it's going to be interesting how they handle the layers of cars like Murray, Metler, Owens, and Treat.
Imagine these cars would go to the wall. Again, these are damaged race cars from throughout the race tonight. Murray's going to stay to the bottom of the racetrack for now. Now he will jump up here to the entrance of turn 1. So it'll be brief moments of 3 wide, about 6 rows deep in the field around Wilson, Coffey, Christensen, and Sanders. Next car up as Murray goes a lap down is going to be Matt Metler. Again, these are a few of the cars that were involved in our last caution. Owens, Treat next up. They're both continuing to run the bottom. And all this is doing is towing along that bottom line. Davis able to get a draft, and you really see the effect of it now. The outside has gone outside of the top 10 nearly. Coffey just dove in line as Davis, the leader, tows off the lap cars and pulls that bottom lane forward.
So all this traffic forcing a little bit of change to the status quo. Let's see how well they handle this next layer. Treat had a little bit of diciness on the radio as of late. Not in the past 50 laps, but earlier on especially. This time, though, gets the assistance to clear. Davis does with Cox. And so the top 2 at the very least, if they want to, can move down. It looks like they'll try and get Gallimore with them as well. And they will. With much of this top group BMP machines, they now all move down and trap everyone else behind the lappers.
They trapped Alex Coffey, and they've trapped Fetter Place Carr and others in the middle. Oh boy, 3 wide, back around. Carr, Moore, and Wilson. Carr gets spit out. He's up against the safer barrier. Tough break there for the 25s. He'll go a little ways backwards outside of the top 10. Fetter Place now is stuck. And this is the first time we've seen Brandon Fetter Place out on the top lane. And that's going to allow a couple of cars to come through on the inside and get a little bit closer to formulate these runs. Coffey and Wilson are now 5th and 6th, right behind the Davis and BMP contingent. So as they get right behind those 4 cars, now they can have a little bit more freedom to plan out these moves and plan out these runs and then take them to the outside later on in the race. That gives them a whole lot more freedom. Got to extrapolate what they're going to do later in the race as well.
Think so. So, as they all go, Chris Davis going to be right up there. He needs a caution now. Easier said than done with the entire field single file. So right now, he's doing the caution dance in his mind. Not physically we see him. He's just letting things go. Keep in mind, Timothy Harper, Trevor Oshawa, Chris Cornett, Johnny Shade did already have a pit stop sequence a little, in fact, an issue a while moments ago that's seen him go for the main pack to drop back during some of these conversations. Specifically, lap 144, he blinked out, hit the inside wall, came back, and he's got heavy damage. Coffey is one of those forcing the issue on the bottom.
And this was what I was wondering when they got to 5th and 6th, is that they go the other way. They've tried so hard to get the outside lane to work, to turn right and take a run, that I wondered how long it would take them to start to try to catch drivers off guard and slip to the inside of one of these cars and break this contingent up that way. And that's one of the 4 now that's broken up. And Coffey uses this little lunge move to turn 1. Let's see if he does it again here on Gallimore. He may try to throw his car in there. Nope, thinks better of it that time around. Remember with Brian Catalano, by the way, breaking into the top 10 for one of the first times tonight in the Top It Off machine as he is back behind Aaron Matthews. So good run for Catalano is brewing here. Pit stop still to come in a little bit. Back to Coffey. He has used this little lunge move. He almost tries to fake to the outside, and that driver's not expecting it. He slips to the inside, and they got Rogers right there. Gallimore on tap next as they try to break up this group.
Right now, they are all still bumper to bumper. Next, as we said, was Shade. After his technical blip, big swing for points. Shade moved up at the last moment. A little bit of a scare maybe for the race leaders. They did not lift. And now they all try and zip on by that Toyota quickly. But we mentioned the next pack coming up here. Remember, they did not move off the bottom the last time some of those drivers. Greg Carr having some issues, hearing some problems going on. Few drivers scattered about, including Ron Rogers, Blaine Wilson. We're still green. Wilson, Rogers tangled up in a 1.
Yeah, I didn't know if you caught it. I also didn't know if they were going to crash. I was about to call it out as Wilson gets turned across the nose of Rogers and completely fractures this lead pack now. And it's thrown a wrench into the leader situation as we approach pit stops. And this was back around, right around the pit position for Wilson and Rogers. Everybody saved it. Everybody kept it going and keeps it green. And really, I don't even see any cars with damage out of it.
Remember, the 18 having some big save skills. Trying to hold on with some of the contact with the 44 of Rogers. Take a look at the Top of the Hawkson's Company replay one more time. Watch the run here. And somehow we stay green as the back half of the field gets up the track and broken up.
Tell you, watching that replay, watch Rogers here. He's actually going to try to do back to the did cars what they just did to him. He's going to try to slip to the inside here and get Wilson off guard. And Wilson starts to come back down to the entry of turn 1. He tried to pull the same move that they both did, and it backfired on him.
Big time. See this here from Barry. He's now in the 6th spot. He's one of 7 cars now in the lead pack because of this that are on the lead lap. And oops, and he drives on by. Chris Davis is coming down pit road, and he is on his own. So the dominant car of the night does not get the caution he's been looking for.
He'll have to rely on a miracle here in the last 40 laps. He'll have to get a caution at some point to even have an opportunity to get back into this race with nobody coming to pit road with him. To see him making changes there to the race cars. He'll get ready to dial this car in on pit road as the final green flag stop of the night's underway. Another car diving off. That's the lap car, Trevor Osmond, as the leaders approach another pack of lap machines, Murray, Coordinate, and Harper.
And as this goes on here, Adam, stops underway. The window is open.
It is open. Chris Davis, first one on pit road here as he puts on 2 right side tires, back and forth with fuel and on his way.
So Chris Davis stopping away. Trevor Astronaut jumping down pit road also for service. One of those in the back of the field. You see the leaders having issues on screen though, because the lappers are staying on the bottom again. This time they're not clearing quickly enough yet.
They're not quite able to get clear. By the way, this front pack after the fracture just a moment ago with the moment for a couple of cars just a second ago with Rogers and Wilson. They have jumped away from the next group back, led now by Brandon Bowie by 2.5 seconds. So the top 6 on the racetrack in this pack, along with the lap cars, are well clear here, headed to a pit stop. They're going to have some margin for error on this stop. It could potentially be a 6-car race to the victory as we have a pretty even team split. 2 BMP cars, 2 dig cars, 2 aero cars, all in the front 6 simplification. And it's duos here as we get towards this final green flag cycle.
Now these drivers can go all the way until about 26, maybe 20 laps to go. See if they're willing to go that far or not. We might see, as a result, a lot more 2-tire stops on the pit stop deltas. Really, the main... Oh, here we go! Coffee with contact into the grass. Trying to cut underneath the limit on the fade up in the quad oval, and Coffee drops back.
Yeah, he tried to slip the move that he did on Rogers just a little while ago that they also did to Brandon Fetterplace to scoot those guys out of line. And Gallimore slammed the door shut. Now, Coffee may have had the nose in before this happens, but again, he tries to slip to the inside, tries to catch these guys sleeping. This is about a half a lap before. Watch him build this run up through turns 3 and 4. He's going to back up just the slightest bit and build a run. And what he's going to do here is try to get a lunge to the inside. What I mean by that is just a quick move right here in the quad oval. When the car turns up for Gallimore, he tries to get to the inside, and Gallimore slides left and hip checks him there just a little bit. And turn 1 says, "No, sir, thank you very much. I'm going to hold on to this spot for now."
And as a result of that situation, 6 are in the main pack still. Matt Metler just left the track this time through. As you see, Sanders up the middle gets himself squeaked on by. Still ticking the laps away here. And the drivers in this main group of the lead lap, mind you, Cox, Gallimore, Sanders, Christensen, Coffee still in position, Brandon Fitterplace. Brandon Bowie is in the next pack, not gaining time. Bowie is losing 2/10 per lap, by the way, with the help of Moore and Catalano, who are trying to do something here, have a shot to win this race.
And they've not been able to gain much. In fact, they've started to lose ground to the leaders. Now this lead pack is singled back out there 2.7 seconds off the tail end of this lead group. Maybe a little bit less than that with a couple of lap cars in the tail end of this wake for the lead pack. But 2.4, 2.3 seconds. They got to be within a second and a half to start to get any draft range. That next pack back is only 3 cars, then another pack of 3, Wilson, Carr, and Hauschild, and then some stragglers, including Rogers, Owens, Treat, and others. Owens and Treat obviously are already 1 lap down along with Davis. Rogers is the last car in the lead lap. He's about 19 seconds behind the leaders right now. Front pack is 6, then 3, and then another 3.
All seeing some splintering late in this race with this lengthy green flag run. Already 56 laps. Johnny Shade just reported a meatball flag. He has been caught by the leaders, in fact. Interesting time to pick it up. He'll have to peel down pit road. Now the leaders will come in this time. Here's a look at Barry. 30 laps to go. Timothy Harper still in between Sanders and the rest of the race leaders.
Now you start to wonder how these moves at the end of the race are going to play out. Obviously, the pit stop is still to come, but let's assume the top 6 all get off pit road together. And oh, by the way, let's assume a couple of these cars in this pack that are off the lead lap come out with them as well, namely Timothy Harper. That would help the 2 Dig eSports Camrys, and Christensen and Coffey. That would give them another car. Chris Cornett is with this group as well. Cornett's a number of laps down. Doesn't really have any kind of affiliation to any of these guys up front. He's a complete and total wild card if he pits with the leaders. So again, you've got a little more energy for the drivers behind the 2 BMP Chevrolets to where perhaps, you know, they could make something happen, and here they're going to pit. It's the 2 Dig eSports cars, Coffey and Christensen off the banking and coming to pit road with 29 to go. The first of the lead group sync for Chris Davis to pit.
They'll take that roll through turn 4 and make their way to the yellow cone to Adam.
Here comes the Dig 1 team here as Alex Coffey, an amazing save early in this, right before this pit stop here. He'll come into his pit stall here, and I'm guessing he'll put on 4 tires, maybe even 2 tires, as we saw with Chris Davis. Here's Corey Moore now. These Dig teammates, they're going to try and line up with each other coming out of the pits, and that could be quite a show. They're taking a big gamble here, though, hoping that they can catch the lead group.
Off and away they rumble. Nigel Christensen, Corey Moore, amongst the 10-second group. In terms of pit stop deltas, Bowie, Catalano, ducked down this time by. But Cox, Gallimore, Sanders, Feder plays. Most importantly, still no blink yet. They're 60 laps in, 26 to go now. Pit stop is this time by Dawson.
A little bit surprised. A little bit surprised that Harper didn't pit with the Dig cars. Black flag on pit road. It's the points leader, Brandon Bowie, on to come back to pit road in a moment and serve a penalty, as here come the lead pack cars. Cox, Gallimore, Harper, Sanders, and Feder Place will pit together here. More of a wild card than I expected on this pit stop. Does everybody get in clean? Now is the question.
Bowie serving the penalty. It's been a rough night for him. That'll be a 40-second stop and hold. Adam, they're all zipping to you.
Matt Cox is the first one on pit road in this next group. Then who else do we got down here? They're all coming down pit lane here. They all want to get a chance to win this race as they come down pit road. Matt Cox, though, he'll have the advantage here as he had a huge gap between him and Feder Place, and he's on pit stall number 1. He's going to put on 4 tires, and a packet full of fuel. The 23 is out in front of this group here, though. Barry Sanders, he gained a couple positions here under the green flag pit stop.
Bit of a pickup, absolutely, but it's going to get interesting where they cycle compared to everybody else. Right now, it's worth noting, Wilson, Carr, and Hochschild still going. Near contact, Murray nearly ran him over. Treat down on the apron to avoid contact. The last of the main leaders that are in the group, other than Rogers and Treat, finishing service, or coming in, have to take service, should say. And I heard a whoa call because we have a spin on pit road.
And Blake Hochschild spins on the entry to pit road. That is not going to help this group that is coming to their pit box with Wilson, Carr, and Hochschild. Rogers is going to have to stay out. He is actually with Chris Davis and Corey Moore in that group that's all trying to determine how this late race strategy is going to go. Davis needs a caution to even have a shot. Rogers needs a caution now to be able to keep this track position after he lost the lead back at the moment with Blaine Wilson just a little while ago. This is a lap car pack, all on different kinds of laps as guys lap back around. Back up front, by the way, change for the provisional lead. Matt Cox has been passed up by both Coffey and Christensen, who beat him off the pit cycle.
So this has turned very interesting here for the net race lead. Coffey, first time potentially to get led laps on the night. Christensen willing to help. Keep in mind, Treat, they're about to catch for position, has to come down pit road, and Rogers is stretching, hoping for some luck here. Remember, Right now, only 9 on the lead lap for now. Treat will lose second. He and Murray stick to the bottom. And now Diggle up front near contact with Cox. Cox trying to get around Christensen.
Matt Cox wasting no time trying to go back to the lead. Now the wild card in this situation is his teammate is no longer with him, right behind him in Gallimore. They've got 2 Arrow Chevrolets between those two. Sanders gets the outside wall. Tight sidetrack from Coffey into turn 1 as he tries to defend the lead. His teammate Christensen trying to come to his aid. They've got Timothy Harper in this pack with them. They've also got Alex Murray in that pack in the 22. So a few different Dig Esports Camrys on different laps, vying for different things. Obviously a couple there to just be support cars, but they're allowing Coffey to maintain the lead for now. Cox against Coffey. I've heard that somewhere before. These two will go to battle once again with 19 to go.
Running out of laps to do something here, side by side for the net race lead. Cox has the better run. Here comes the 0-0. Can he clear? He needs a bump. He's not going to get it. Sanders wasn't close enough. Harper having to let the car breathe. Remember, he's a lap down. Now a sidetracked attempt. Coffey is clear of it.
Alex Coffey and Nigel Christensen a Herculean pit stop to get out in front of Matt Cox and that group of 4 that all came down pit road together to do it with 2 cars. So impressive and a friendly face in the mirror. Gallimore has bailed. He's gone to the bottom side. He's trying to get to where he can regroup with his teammate Matt Cox, and they can try to work back together like they have been all night long. They haven't been able to get there yet. Man, that was close. Harper and Cox into turn 3. They were inches apart right there up the banking as they nearly brought out a caution. Alex Murray, by the way, in the wall behind these guys. He continues to struggle with that damaged race car. The bad night gone worse for him. 18 to go at the line. Coffey clear. Christensen clear. The lap car of Harper clear. Gallimore now clear. And expect those BMP cars to regroup and get back together.
Gotta sort it out for some of the drivers if you want a chance. Sean Rogers, last driver to pit, is in. So this will give the lead to car 54 for the first time tonight. It's Coffey officially at the point. By the way, Chris Davis lost 5 seconds from his pit call. He is in 7th. So right now it's the calm before the storm here possibly, Dawson. When do you expect somebody to try and make the move here?
Well, the storm won't be nearly as large as it usually is on one of these super speedways. We don't have as many cars in this lead pack, and as such, the luxury of these cars running 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and so on, or 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th in this lead packs, mind you, is that they can wait a lot later. It could be 3, 4, 5 to go rather than, say, 10, 11, 12 laps left that you want to start making that run. Now, you may say, well, why not wait till the white flag? We have seen tonight how hard it is to make runs on that outside lane. You got a trio of Dig Esports Camrys now leading this pack, 2 of them on the lead lap. So you got to go a little earlier than that. You got to assume the outside lane is still going to be tough sledding with not a lot of energy to go behind you. I would say as soon as about 5 to 6 laps to go, as late as perhaps 3, 2.5 laps is when you'll see drivers start to make moves. The wild card to me, does Nigel Christensen pull out of line to look for a victory? We know how the season's gone for him. Does he want a trip to victory lane, or does he suffice to push his teammate back to another trip to it?
That's the question I think here to think about absolutely. Coffey, only 1 win on the season coming into tonight, though he's been one of those able to bounce back from a flurry of near winning chances all May, heading up into June. It's been a bit calmer since then, but will he get what he's looking for tonight? For Christensen, won a race last year, looking to win a race this year in his situation. Then he threw Gallimore in the mix. We talked about him. For Paul, looking for his first win. He's only been in the top 5 3 times all season. And that's just some of the drivers in this conversation. A part of the 6 lead lappers in the mix. Matt Cox on the outside will try and drive by some of them.
Yes, so many interesting storylines as Cox tries to work the outside by himself. Again, we talk about Coffey, only 1 win for him this season back at Michigan. A bit uncharacteristic on the win column this year. Would love to add a second one to that. Christensen's not won this year and is in that compromised points scenario. 40 points below the cut line coming in. A win, the bonus points from it would be a huge boost with just a few races left until the chase. Paul Gallimore is not in a win this season. He's had a good year, a plus 137 to the cut line. You know he wants a trip to victory lane, though. Barry Sanders plus 74. You want to talk about a big buffer to the cut line, that would be it with a win. Brandon Fetter placed a win in Charlotte earlier in the year and the All-Star race winner as well. But Matt Cox has also only won one time this year. A guy that won several races last season. Only win came at Bristol back in the month of April. You know he wants another trip to victory lane as well. I'll tell you what, the push is up front with 11 to go. They're starting to get more towards the line of over-aggressive.
Yep, we're coming up to 10 to go this time through. 10 more times around. A lot of chippiness on the radio. Catalano, Cox amongst those getting chippy. Catalano is a lap car in this mix. Cox already saying on the radio, we gotta get something going. It's not gonna be a last lap pass day like Dago or Daytona.
Oh yeah, now it could be as many as 5 cars against 3 if the Aero and VMP cars decide to go, and obviously depending on where Catalano decides to join up here later in this race. And what Matt Cox is saying is they've got to go now, and the message has been received. Paul Gallimore to the outside, but Barry Sanders stays home. But for how long he's thinking about it, he hesitates. Trouble. Gallimore and Harper come together. It's not going to draw the caution, but it's going to fracture this lead pack even more as Fetterplace gets the worst end of that out of this group.
Aggressive sidetrack attempt by the 11. Sends the 23 up the track. They both slide around. Better place. Worst place for that timing for him.
Oh man, what a tough break here for Brandon Fetterplace. And again, this just reduces the amount of cars to go for the win and the lead. You see Fetterplace here, he had to jump to the apron and has to lift to get back on the racetrack, and in doing so, ends up losing touch with the lead pack. They catch a lap car, Johnny Shade. That was a big moment there in turn 4. Coffee had to work up the hill, and the 3 that are left behind the big Camrys are going to work together. Barry Sanders alongside Alex Coffey send the boss man to the point in turns 1 and 2. Sanders goes to the lead with the help of Cox and Gallimore behind him. On the inside, it's the lone dig Camrys of Coffey and Christensen.
Heavy battling going on with Sanders trying to get his first lead laps of the night. Can Barry break through to get his first win on the season now? Right now, coming up to 6 to go. Coffey gets the run down on the bottom. Christensen to help out on the inside. Cox on the outside. They all rumble 2 by 2 with Gallimore having whatever choice he wants to go lane to lane. He goes on the outside. As Sanders nearly clears, he does clear.
And Barry Sanders is clear, but he's got 2 sets of teammates right on his back bumper here. He's going to have to choose his moves wisely over the last 5 laps to go in Atlanta. They'll get the 5 out the flag stand for Barney, the flag man here. They'll work back by the lap car of Alex Murray. All 3 top lane cars almost get clear. Coffey hangs on the left rear of Gallimore. That was very close to Coffey being 4th in line instead. He'll shoot down the back straightaway and have a big run here. They're separated are Cox and Sanders. Where does Coffey go here with 5 to go? He'll opt for caution, and the wild card now is Catalano. Who does he opt to go with in car 92? Whoever he opts to help likely will win this race. I will note, when those guys were 2 wide, that second group, which picked up Brandon Fetterplace, gained about 9 tenths. Oh no! Coffey and Cox get turned off the racetrack, and that's going to help that second group.
There goes Cox around Coffey. Barry Sanders up at the front. Chaos in the lead group. Coming to 3 laps to go. Let's take a quick look at replay. This has imploded the pack.
It's imploded the pack, and it's given Brandon Fetterplace and Chris Davis an opportunity here. They're in that second group with Corey Moore, and they're not too far back of catching draft from a couple of cars now. Is it too little, too late? It might be 3 cars left for the win if they can get back together. But that second group, they're closing in, and closing in quickly.
Coming to 2 laps to go. Sanders and Christensen together. Gallimore right behind. Everybody else needs to charge. 2 laps to go from EchoPark.
Again, they work back to the start-finish line. Now we're in a situation where Christensen, like Chris Davis did back in February, can wait until the last possible second. Remember, back in the February race, it was a last lap, last corner pass that Davis set up to win this race. Christensen is now in that position, and he's got just over 2 miles to think about it. Matt Cox back to the party, though, and BMP's not done with this yet. And when they get back, they're going to see the white flag.
Coming up to League Gaming, 1 to go. One more time around from EchoPark Speedway. Sanders looking for his first win of the season. Galmore's alongside for second. He jumps to the inside of Christensen. They still fight hard for second. That's exactly what the 88 needs to see. Side drafting is heavy for P2. Christensen not backing off the door of the 11. Barry Sanders, uncontested, will exit turn 4 to win in Atlanta.
Man, what a feel-good win for Barry Sanders. Plus 70 to the cut line. He needed that, and he gets the job done in Atlanta. His first win of the season. What better time than tonight to get the job done for the boss man?
Christensen with a love tap there. Chris Davis only got to 6th, but does see the league boss man bring the car home today for the Euro camp. It's Aero Love on the outside line today. They'll set themselves up in Victory Designs Victory Lane in just a few minutes. Barry Sanders, his first win of 2026. He had not a single top 5 before tonight. He's trying to burn up backwards. I don't know if that's going to work, but he's trying it.
And I couldn't say I'd expect any less from Barry Sanders. The times we've gotten to talk to him, I can't say I expect any less than to try something a little bit different and try to do the reverse Kyle Larson there. Now he's going to, I think, come back and do some traditional donuts here on the start-finish line.
Yeah, this one should put up some smoke. It's Barry Sanders who gets the win tonight in the Barry MD for Mortuary 250. Very fitting to see a Barry come away with race sponsor being part Barry. As the burnout continues for Barry Sanders, get ready to take a step aside in a moment. More coverage you're watching Precision Entertainment for tonight's coverage here from EchoPark. Welcome back to tonight's coverage of the Barry M. Deeper Mortuary 250. Let's take a look at your race results, unofficial tonight, as per usual, with it being just finished. Barry Sanders gets the win by near 2/10 over Nigel Christensen. Paul Gallimore on the podium. We'll speak with those drivers in just a little bit. Matt Cox and Alex Coffey were in the top 5 today. Chris Davis down in 6th. Brandon Fetterplace in 7th. Corey Moore, great car. And Blaine Wilson, a part of the top 10, separated by 19 seconds. Dawson.
Sean Rogers, the gamble never worked for him. Comes home 11th. Blake Hochschild, 12th. William Owens, 13th. Trevor Osmond, 14th. Couple of unlikely top 15s there. Brandon Bowie, uncharacteristic for him, 15th. One of his worst finishes over the past 2 months or so. Jim Treat, 16th. Ryan Catalano finishes 17th with Timothy Harper in 18th. Aaron Matthews, 19th. And Alex Murray, 20th. Drivers involved in crashes.
21st went the way of Johnny Shade, 4 laps down after his technical blip. Chris Cornett, 21 laps down. Drivers out included Matt Metler and Mark Sanchez, down 38 and 87 respectively. The big one collecting drivers like Medina, Engels, and Mackin. Kaden Northright finished 130 down. Chris Vincent, Wayne Bowen are part of your top 30. 3 others enter the race: Kenny Real, Nick Kane, Kyle Holden. Look, top to bottom of the radar here in this one tonight. As all the drivers get themselves situated and sorted out, we'll start things off. 3rd place discussion. Adam is set up with Paul Gallimore.
Yes, well, sir. Paul, what a fantastic finish that was. Probably a little bit of hurt feelings, though, afterwards. In a position to win, but unfortunately come up 2 spots short tonight.
Yeah, it was a good race. I mean, it was, strategy played out. Me, Chris, and Matt just, I guess, had that thing on lock for the longest time. I guess everybody started getting mad because we were just walking the dog on the field there. So everybody started getting a little rough, and sometimes, sometimes you got to hold your ground, man. So that's all we did. Just raced hard and got a good finish out of it.
Can you extrapolate on what you could have done differently at the end there?
Yeah, not had that wheel damage when side drafting with Timmy, and he moved up a little bit, and it was just a bad thing. We just both got together, and once I got that little bit of wheel damage, I was kind of just out to lunch, and then I pushed Barry and Cox up there, and then I just fell back to 5th and was content. Just, hell, that's probably where I was going to finish, but thought maybe they might get up there and mix it up a little bit. Maybe I could steal a spot or 2, but otherwise, it was just good hard racing, man. Me and Nigel Dorn across the line stuff. That's fun. We made it, so everything's good. Good run. I'm happy. Good to see Barry, the boss man, get him a win, and it was just overall good race, I'd say. I mean, we ran up top 5 all night, so can't ask much more than that.
Next week, North Wilkesboro. That should be an interesting race.
Yeah, I've not done a lot of running there yet on this new configuration or new pavement they got put down or whatever. So we'll see how it goes. Cautiously optimistic, I guess you could say. It could be some, be a lot of bent fenders and hurt feelings. This is Moonshiners Wednesday night, so that's what happens here sometimes. Just try to hope that luck's on your side.
Well, thank you for joining us here, Paul, and congratulations on a top 3 finish. Back to you, JP.
Thank you.
Paul Gallimore coming away with that spot here tonight in the 3rd position. And as we continue on with the discussion line here, one of the drivers that was in the conversation for a little bit there had been Chris Davis. Why don't we go towards him next in terms of the order here? Because he was in the conversation for the race win for a bit. We'll move to 2nd in a moment. For Chris, what came down to that decision to be the only driver not to pit when you did that put you off cycle the rest of the way?
Stupidity. I didn't think everybody was going to pit there, and I picked up my phone to send a text message, and when I looked up, everybody had dove in. I was already past the commitment box, so kind of just put myself in a bad spot, but hey, I had a ton of fun, so.
Obviously, you had speed here tonight, but really, what's going through your mind with all the laps being led there over the course of the evening, to the point where no one could seemingly get past you until you weren't in the lead anymore?
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta's just a track that I adapt to really well. I really like this package, and keeping the front tires on it, it sounds dumb, but, even in the lead, I was letting out the gas, letting the car sit, and just hugging the bottom. You know, I could see that outside line, and the right people up there could have made some moves, but you know, I got to thank Cox and Gallimore. They pushed really hard when that outside line would come, but it's just a lot of fun to be up there, work with those guys. This track can be so much fun when you are around people who know what they're doing, and those two definitely do, and Barry does. So obviously he's in the winner circle. So congratulations to him. But you know, Team Arrow kind of dominated tonight. So we're pretty proud.
That in mind, how do you keep that up the next time out on the racetrack in your situation? Because it's a short track next week, North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not real good at short tracks, but you know, I've had a consistent top 5, top 10 run the last couple weeks, beyond the few road courses and getting wrecked out last week. So, but we were up front last week too, so we're just going to carry the momentum. Barry and Kyle and Aaron, they put a lot of work in through the week, just figure out what we need to do to get fast. You know, I got to thank Team Watson Racing Setups this week for a super quick setup. So appreciate those guys, and you know, we'll just keep carrying on.
Any shout you'd like to give here tonight?
Just congratulations to Barry. You know, he gets down on himself. He's an excellent driver, but he takes it hard when he doesn't do good. So I'm glad he got up there and got a win. Just Team Arrow and you guys for this excellent broadcast.
Congratulations on the 6th place run tonight.
Appreciate it, guys.
Chris Davis, down in 6th this evening. Let's continue on with the podium, though. Dawson's caught up with 2nd place, Nigel Christensen.
Yeah, standing by with Nigel Christensen for Dig Esports. And look, Nigel, tonight felt like a very complete run for you. Obviously, being up front a lot of the time, being able to connect with cars like Davis, Gallimore, Cox all night. Kind of what went into the success we saw tonight. Take me through your night tonight in Hampton.
Yeah, thanks. A lot of it was just I got to the bottom, and I was able to just kind of stay on the bottom all night long, and that was pretty obviously the strongest line. And early, I obviously did not qualify well, and so early on, I just kind of ripped the top and gained as many spots as I could while everybody was filing down, and eventually, I was able to get up there, and then I just never left the bottom really the whole race. And the whole goal for me today was to get as many stage points as I could, and then finish best that I could as well. So it all kind of worked out for me tonight.
Well, yeah, let's kind of get into the effect of it. Look, we know the speed underneath this race car. It's been there all season, but it feels like the luck portion of it just has not been there for you so far in 2026. A run like this, what does this do for your confidence as we approach the chase, and kind of what does it do for your mentality, knowing now you can put a run together and have the luck go your way?
You know, it's funny you say that because yeah, I've had some unfortunate luck, but the one thing that I've been kind of telling myself as I've been progressing this year is like my results that I get on Wednesday night aren't the tell of the progress that I've made throughout the week. And so they can't all go your way. And so as long as I can just keep putting in the work and keep leaning on my teammates and focusing on what's best for me, that's what's most important. And I have a lot of confidence that as long as I keep doing that, the next 6 weeks, I should be able to get really close, or if not into the chase. So that's the ultimate goal. But at the end of the day, it's just more for me to just maximize my weeks and do everything I can throughout the week, and stuff's going to happen, and just do my best to not be part of that. And you know, one of those areas that I need to be better about for sure is I have to start qualifying better. I need to be better there, so that way I'm not constantly putting myself into the mess, and put myself in better positions that way.
Well, let's look ahead the next couple weeks heading into the off week. It's Wilkesboro next Wednesday night, Indianapolis after that. What can we expect from the 20 crew and Dig Esports at those two racetracks?
We're going to put in a lot of work, and I think, you know, Dig as a whole we're going to be strong. You know, North Wilkesboro is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a lot of fun to just attack that track and kind of see how we line up. You know, I feel like Precision as a whole has been doing really, really well especially on the short track stuff. And I have a lot of confidence in what we'll have for that. And then honestly, like Indy, I ran super well at Pocono. By far my best race of the year. And Indy is very similar to that. So I'm looking forward to that. I think those are two racetracks that I can be pretty strong at, to be honest with you.
Are there any thank yous or shout outs you'd like to give here tonight from a second place finish at Atlanta?
Yeah, just want to thank my dad and all of my dig and precision teammates. I'm not going to name them all. I do appreciate them, but I do want to give a couple shout outs for sure. Like Alex Murray, he's been working, really hard with me and trying to get me better. And then Alex Kopp, it's in a lot of work. We put in a lot of hours, and say those two, the whole team is part of that, but those two in particular have really been a big part of my growth, and so I want to thank them. And I think I already thanked my dad, but anytime I can race and it can be broadcasted, especially by you guys do an awesome job. I genuinely believe you're the best in the whole business, and he gets to watch that and see me run up front. It means a lot. So thank you guys for sure.
Nigel, congrats on the second place effort. Nigel Christensen, second place tonight in Atlanta, JP.
Having a couple way in P number 2 here tonight is the 20, but it's time for Victory Designs Victory Lane, where it's time to catch up with the race winner tonight. Barry Sanders, first win of the season. Barry, how are you feeling about this one tonight?
Buddy, nervous. I don't even know what to say, to be honest with you. I'm super excited. Still shaking a little bit, man. That's what I was telling Chris. I was like, I wasn't even nervous until I crossed the finish line and realized what I'd done and had to figure out how to do a burnout again because it's been so long. So super pumped, man. Super happy. I don't even know how to put it into words right now.
What's going through your mind as the pack starting imploding around you?
I don't know. I don't know if the chaos has helped me or if it hurt me. I don't know. I guess it definitely didn't hurt me because we won the race, but Kyle was kind of spotting a little bit for me there and was telling me they were spread out and should be fine. So I was like, what does should be fine mean? So I was just like, just keep the eyes in the rearview mirror, make sure nobody had any runs, and try to keep it out front there on the last 2 or 3 laps. So it turned into a little bit of chaos, but I'm just glad we got back in victory lane, man. Super happy.
What's it going to take for you to keep up the momentum after a race like this tonight?
A lot of work. Talking about North Wilkesboro, man. Not one of my favorite tracks. And short tracks has been my downfall in this new car, so I don't know what I'll bring to the table at North Wilkesboro, but we'll put in the work over the week like we have been and, see if we can keep running top 5, top 10, something like that to try to get some points positions heading into the chase. Thank you.
At this point, anyone who want our producer was in our ear saying proud of you, by the way. So on that note, anyone who want to give a shout out to here tonight?
Yeah, absolutely, man. First and foremost, Team Arrow, Team Watson for making a great setup this week. It was super fast. Yeah, that as well. It was my fiance's birthday on Tuesday, so definitely going to celebrate this one with her. Super excited to win for her birthday, we'll say. So pumped up for her allowing to let me do this. So thank you, Sarah, for allowing me to race and have this guilty pleasure with all my buddies. Well, I'm sure my dad's probably watching. So shout out to him. Like I said, Team Arrow, Team Watson for the setup. All about sheet metal, all of our sponsors for the league. Icon Apparel, man, they've came in a big way. They sponsored the in-season challenge, sponsored by Car. So really big shout out to Scott and Icon Apparel. Of course, we got the hat on. I had to go put it on there to show them off this evening. Richie at RS Button Boxes. So many sponsors for this league, man. A lot of people put a lot of money into this to help this go around, and you all especially for putting on a great broadcast every week for everybody to watch and allow us to enjoy just racing around the track on virtual cars. So it's been a great night for me. I'm super amped. So I'm just going to do a little cheers to you all. Hit my little bourbon here. I just take a shot of bourbon after every win, man. So Thank you all very much.
Congratulations on the win tonight.
Thank you very much. You all have a good evening.
Barry Sanders going to Victory Designs Victory Lane here tonight in this one. Shout out to the entire top three, plus 6th place Chris Davis for taking time to speak during post-race coverage in our precision. Remember, next week we go to North Wilkesboro. That will once again be on July 22nd for the semifinals of the in-season challenge, brought to you by Icon Apparel Co. 8 p.m. start time for short track racing from North Wilkesboro. Be sure to tune in. Well, let's go around the table, if we will, as we look to close things out. Start with you here as, hello, we have multiple boxes. There we go. We have 3 of us. Adam, on that note, as you've appeared all of a sudden, your thoughts from your perspective.
Well, how do I extrapolate on this? This was a crazy race. Of course, it's Atlanta, so it can always deliver the craziness of not only like an intermediate track, but a super speedway at the same time. The pit strategy was crazy tonight, all the cautions. I said it earlier, it's going to come down to just keeping your car in one piece and getting to the end. And tonight, that was Barry Sanders' time to show what he can do. It's great to see him in victory lane getting the boss man a big win. Of course, gutted for Nigel Christensen. He was right there. He was in prime position to win this. Just could not find the help that he needed towards the end.
Indeed, and you can say extrapolate this, extrapolate that, extrapolate. But the big thing here, Dawson, here is the top seeds all moved on in your Icon Apparel Co. in-season challenge. And that makes it to where the top seeds, Bowie, Cox, Coffey, and Gallimore all have a chance to battle in the respective battles.
Yeah, and headed to a short track too. What better place to help decide the finals of the in-season challenge than at a place like North Wilkesboro? I'll get to that in just a second. Let's talk Atlanta first. I'll extrapolate on Adam's extrapolation a second ago and talk about this one tonight from Atlanta. I think the stage 1 chaos kind of set the tone for the race. Early in the race, I feel like the outside line had a lot of jump. It was going to be a too wide. Very much traffic jam style super speedway race like we're used to. When that chaos hit in stage 1, it took the energy out of the building just a little bit and allowed a few cars to run the race. And you heard Nigel Christensen say, once he got to the bottom, he was comfortable and was able to run behind the 3 leading the race, Davis, Cox, and Gallimore, and they were able to control a lot of this race on the bottom side. A lot of the energy was gone from the racetrack. It ended up being a chaotic one, but a fun one nonetheless here from Atlanta. Next week at Wilkesboro, so much fun coming, a chaotic one. You heard Paul Gallimore say bent fenders and hurt feelings. It's one of my favorite stops on the circuit. It's uneven. The 2 straightaways run completely different. It's built into a hill. We have the new pavement as well, which these drivers have not yet run on in this series. A bit of a new scan for that racetrack. It's going to be a lot of fun coming up next week from Wilkes County.
We'll see that again as part of upcoming races here on the 22nd. But before that, Cyber Thunder and its Rush Championship Series presented by AI Chief heads for Martinsville Speedway. We'll see how things go there. Again, more information on how you can join for your coverage. Be sure you're going to go to precision.live or Ryan at PrecisionSpeedSolutions.com. Just about time to say goodbye for tonight's coverage, though. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in for tonight's coverage here from EchoPark. For Dawson Wise, for Adam Thompson, for Ryan Bauer, for everyone here at Precision, I'm Justin Burns saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You're watching the Barry MD from Mortuary 250 here from Atlanta.
Knuckle grip in the neon light, trading pain in the heart of the fight. Shifting gears till the edge feels right. Start 'em up, hear the engines cry. Let the thunder roll, leave no doubt. All or nothing when the checkers come out. Doors beating doors in an all-out fight. This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night. Wednesday night. Legends born in the heat of the fight. Trading pain under stadium lights. Racing roots run deep here. We're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. track has a story to tell. Every wall has been one driver's hell. Back in the saddle we go. Ring the bell like a moonshiner. We're riding on rails. Checkers all records. Send it in, set sail. Legends born in the heat of the fight. Trading pain under stadium lights. Racing roots run deep here. We're racing on a Moonshiners Wednesday night. This is a Moonshiners Wednesday night.